Ahoy! Welcome in on a, dare I say, a nice Friday. Somewhat dry, a light sprinkle, a holiday version of Primetime, a college football playoff version of Primetime. We got a lot going on right now. I do have no Isaac Ropp. Much like Dan Lanning says that being sick is a choice, apparently rain is a choice because Ropp has left the rain and is in San Diego, sunny San Diego, where I believe it's 79 and sunny, and he's golfing right now. But I do have Lowercase, who has braved the elements with me, so it's a two-man edition of Primetime with me and the wonderful Lowercase.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I mean, yesterday was a doozy. I actually went to the Blazer game. So I was at the Blazer game, and then I was watching the Thursday night football game on my phone at the Blazer game because, to be honest with you, I didn't really care about the Blazer game. That was one of those, my gal, her company has luxury suite tickets, so they offered them up, and so we kind of brought the kids, and you go there and you do the meal and all that, but I was more interested in what was happening on Thursday night football. And I'm not certain which ending was more bananas. Ended up just being one of those, like, what in the hell? And I'm going to be honest about this, and I never do it. I left the Blazer game early. Like, they were one, honestly, it's the Sacramento Kings and the Blazers. I was like, whatever. So started the fourth quarter, we were like, dude, let's get out of here. Let's beat traffic. We'll go home, and I'll catch the end of the Thursday night game. So I go home, I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm watching the end of Thursday night football, and I kind of had the Blazer game up on my phone, and I stopped looking when they were up by like 15 with a couple minutes to play. So I just kind of was like, well, that's over. So then I turned my attention to the Thursday night football game. I didn't find out about the Blazer thing until after the fact. I was like, what in the hell? And this is how bad it was. This is hand to God. So I knew Ropp was gone. So I was sitting there on my little computer there, and I was just kind of doing a kind of a one sheet. Because if I have to host by myself, sometimes the night before I'll just kind of lay out, hey, here's some stuff we can talk about, right? We got Alabama and Oklahoma, and we'll talk about some Duck stuff, and got a bunch of notes on the Thursday night football game. And literally I had it in my notes because I saw that the Blazers blew it. I saw that it was like whatever is like 1.9 seconds, and I literally put in my notes, you never know with this team. Horrible loss, can't believe they blew that. And then the stat line, because the Blazers starting five had a monster night. Everyone had a good game. And lo and behold, I kind of, like 5 minutes after the fact, right? Game's over, and I'm kind of sitting down there, and I was scrolling through my Twitter, and so this is now at like whatever it is, 10:30 at night. I'm scrolling through my Twitter, and I see one of the local, like the news scribes or whatever, tweeted about how Portland got a win. And I was like, what? I'm like, did they write? Like, I thought it was a messed up headline. I had to go back and check what the hell happened. So not only did I leave the game early and miss the blown lead, I actually turned it off after the Blazers blew the lead officially, and with like whatever 1 second left, 1.9 or whatever, and I turned it off. I had to go back and watch the replay of the non-Russell Westbrook foul, which might be the worst foul I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I hated that call, but I'm not going to be too pissed about it because I was surrounded by Blazer fans, so I'm going, yeah, good call, folks.
Dude, look, I don't have a dog in the fight. I root for the local team, but I'm not living and dying with
Same here.
with the Blazers. I want to root for the hometown team. It's fun when they do well. That is the biggest horse-esque call I've seen. And look, I know NBA officiating is sketchy, but oh my God. I'm not certain. And by the way, if you've watched the Blazers at all this year, Denny is one of the best players in the league. Denny just puts his head down and goes. Like when he gets on a break, dude, that is a large man that just puts his head down, and it's just a straight line, and good luck stopping him. But I'm not certain how in that situation, Denny slamming a ball into Russell Westbrook's face somehow is a foul on Russell Westbrook. I was like, what? I mean, for a team that's only won 6 games, it's probably a good thing that Sacramento lost. I think they're in full tank. But that was as bad a call in that moment as I've ever seen in the NBA. I mean, it was shocking.
I mean, the fact that the buzzer had gone off and they said, no, get everyone back off of their benches. We're going to take a look at this. Yeah. That's the way shocking thing that it's, no, let me stop everything going on. We're going to take a look at this for a 50-50 call.
And this was one of those, too, that I really thought that one of the dumbest, although it turns out I guess it's the correct call, the 2-point conversion, the failed 2-point conversion that turned into the successful 2-point conversion, one of 3, by the way, I would have thought that that was the strangest call I was going to see that night. And then I saw the end of the Blazer game and I was like, well, I guess that happened. But that Thursday night game, my God, dude, that thing was drunk. That was the game of the year. I had some buddies of mine that went up to that. And look, I going into the year, I thought Seattle was a playoff team. I was a little more bullish on the Seahawks than some. I just thought that I know Sam Darnold for Geno Smith, and I just thought that was kind of a wash. It was the second year under McDonald. That defense was going to be good. I thought that was a 10 or an 11 win team, and that was going to be a playoff team. And obviously they've exceeded those expectations. But I even said going into that game, I was talking to some Seahawks fans of mine, and one of them is a diehard, and he's got season tickets. He was going up to it, and he asked me what I thought, and I was like, I said the Rams are better than you. I kind of thought the Seahawks were pretenders. I thought it was a really, really good defense with an offense that can't be trusted, and they really didn't have a signature win. If you look at the 3 teams that they've played, their 3 best teams, they have 3 losses, close losses. But I just thought when push comes to shove, I think their offense is limited, and I think their offensive line's a little spotty. I just didn't believe that was a real contending team. They're a little bit like the Houston Texans to me. The defense can drag you to certain places, but ultimately they're not going to be good enough.
Got to score points to win games.
But and then through 3.5 quarters, all of that was confirmed, right? I mean, there's 9.5 minutes left. You're down by 16 points, and you throw a pick, and it's kind of like, all right, that does it. In fact, Ernest Jones said that the Rams players were laughing. They were taunting the Seahawks, and at that point, game's over, right? And then the punt return. And this is what I'll say about Seattle. And we got a lot to dig into and plenty of stuff to get to today, by the way, because we got Oklahoma, Alabama. Tonight, we'll preview the Ducks.
We got such a great weekend for sports.
Oh, it's a phenomenal weekend. Dan Lanning, by the way, who normally joins us on Thursday. Obviously, he couldn't join us Thursday because we had the game of the year going on with the Seahawks and the Rams. So Lanning was kind enough to join us today. So we'll have Lanning today at 4. Jory Harrington will join us for his 2 segments at 5:30 and 6. So we've got a ton of stuff to talk about. And then Alabama, and like I said, Alabama, Oklahoma, which might be the best game of the first round. Although Miami A&M might have something to say about that. That will distract me at 5. So we got plenty to get to. But for 3.5 corners, that was a Denny Green sort of game. The Seahawks are who we thought they were. A good team that was going to come up short. One, I think it was a little disappointing to see the Rams be able to move the ball like that against the Seahawks. Because that's the one thing that you thought you could count on is the Seahawks defense was going to keep you in all those games. And I will give credit. When they got down there by 16, how many different third downs did the Rams have a chance to seal away that game? And the Seahawks came up with a big stop, including forcing whatever it was, the 48-yard field goal.
Including that big play that stopped all the momentum when Ernest Jones debatably gets a pick.
Debatably gets a pick. So the Seahawks defense was far from great. But they when they needed them most, when they needed to get stops, they got stops. And when they needed to make plays, they made plays. And this is where I came away after that game when I kind of sat there and I was texting back and forth with my buddy, and he's just going ape-ass. He's like, oh, my God, best game in Seattle in years. And, this is Beastquake type stuff. And, oh, my God, we're the number 1 seed, and everything is laid out before you. Which, by the way, you're the number 1 seed right now. A lot can change, and we'll talk about that. I mean, that game had massive playoff implications. But this is what I'll say about Seattle. Do I think Seattle is the best team in the NFL? No, I don't. Do I still think their offense is very limited and that Sam Darnold in 2 games against the Rams has thrown 6 picks? Well, that's fact. I do think he's limited. I do think your offense is limited. And at times, he's absolutely terrifying. But at this point, can you say that Seattle is going to be in every single game that they have played? Yes. They have not been soundly beaten one time all year. You can say that they've lost games where they aren't the best team. You can say that they've won games where you can say maybe they're not the best team. But this is what I'll say, and maybe you can even say this about Oregon too. They are a resilient team. They do not have to bring their A game in order to be in these contests. And going into this, I did think the Rams were as good as anyone in the league, if not the best team in the NFL. And when you look at the two games that the Rams and the Seahawks have played, they're almost identical from a point differential, from a yardage standpoint. I mean, those two teams are mirror images. Now, when I watch those two games, I think the Rams are the better team. I do. But the proof's in the pudding here, and that Seattle has gone toe-to-toe and now has a win over them. You have to say that Seattle this is a game to me, even though it was kind of fluky. And at one point, like I said, with 9.5 minutes, you throw that interception. I believe it was like 98.5% win probability for the Rams. In fact, when you actually look at what the Rams did, and this was the yardage that they've thrown, the number of touchdowns, and no turnovers. I'll look it up here and see what. There's like a series of stats that the Rams had put up. No team in the modern era had put up those numbers and lost a game.
581 total yards.
Yes.
457 of them were through the air. They averaged 6.6 yards per carry, and they had 88 total plays. I mean, they had 25 more plays than Seattle did.
No team had put up the Rams' numbers offensively with no turnovers and lost a game.
Or sacks allowed.
Yes. The Seahawks were 0-155 when trailing by 16 plus points in the fourth quarter. Like this game, the Rams should have won this. And you can make the argument, did the Rams blow this? Did the Seahawks make a comeback? Probably a little bit of both. I mean, their kicker hadn't missed a field goal all year. They come up with a big third down stop. It's a 48-yard kick, and what happens? He pushes one. So, I mean, all of these things come into play. And if they were to play again in the playoffs, I would probably pick the Rams. But this is what I'll say about Seattle. It doesn't matter what we think of Seattle at this point. The truth of the matter is, the Seahawks on any given Sunday can beat anyone in this league. And you look at their losses, right? 17-13 should not have lost to the 49ers, and they'll get a chance to avenge that.
Yep.
38-35 to the Bucs. That was just whoever had the ball last. And the Rams was 21-19. I mean, those are your three losses. You have not been soundly beaten. In fact, you can make the argument the Rams in that loss were the team that has beaten the Seahawks. That was the most Seattle had been dominated in a game all year.
By far.
Was that game, and they found a way to win.
And that was kind of more of Seattle shooting themselves in the foot rather than it was the Rams really dominating them.
I mean, it's just crazy. That was the game of the year. I don't know, and we've had some really good ones. I thought we had a good one last week with New England and Buffalo, with the Bills being down 21-0 and coming back. But man, last night, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. And it made me a little bit of a believer in Seattle. And I know some people are saying the exact opposite. Some people are like, yeah, that was a fluky game, and I still can't take them seriously. I'm not. I said I'm a big believer of, in the NFL, you are what your record says you are, right? And I ask all the time, you need signature wins. That's a signature win. And it doesn't matter how you get it. You found a way to get a signature win. And so to me, I have to take Seattle seriously. And I don't know if I did that before last night. I really didn't. I thought they were good. I didn't think they were capable of getting where they needed to go. But after last night, the resilience they showed, the defense bowing their back when they needed to, and Darnold erasing the earlier mistakes, because Sam Darnold was Sam Darnold early in that game, but some of those throws he made, including the one to Cooper Kupp on the sideline, the toe drag.
That was the most important throw of the game.
It's big-time stuff.
Yeah.
That is big-time stuff, and that's a big-time win. Doesn't have to be pretty, but that's a big-time win. And we come back. I mentioned it before, because I thought the Westbrook foul might have been the dumbest thing I saw from an official. I have never seen this in the history of my life. We got to talk about the two-point play that wasn't and then was. When we come back, 105.1 The Fan. Talking a little Thursday night football. Your first place Seattle Seahawks. 12-3, by the way. Number 1 seed in all of football. There were so many parts. We could literally spend 3 hours talking about that game. When I was kind of jotting down notes, it's absurd how many little different things you can point to in that football game. And like 99 of them should be the Rams win. And yet in this scenario, everything broke right, which is why I get why some people today are going to say that the Rams are still better than the Seahawks. And I get that. I'm not here to debate that. Again, I said if those two teams played in the postseason, which, by the way, is still a very, very real possibility. I mean, both of these teams are going to go. I mean, there's a good chance, by the way, that if you look at it, there's still a chance that the Niners could end up being the 1 seed in this playoff.
This is probably the most dangerous division in football right now.
Oh, hands down. And by the way, anyone dismissing the 49ers, do you realize that the Niners have wins over these two teams? Like the two teams that are above the Niners, they've already beaten Seattle and they've already beaten the Rams, one of those with their backup quarterback. Now, again, I just think the injury bug is too much for the Niners to overcome. But, I mean, give the Niners credit. Believe it or not, the Niners still control their own destiny. If the Niners win out, they're the 1 seed. They win that division. If the Seahawks win out, they're the 1 seed. They win that division. The Rams, though, the Rams need a little help. The Rams need one of those teams to lose. And when you look at the schedule, I got to pull it up here. The 49ers, what do the 49ers have? The 49ers have the Seahawks. Oh, no, sorry. The 49ers have the Colts, Bears, and Seahawks. That's the toughest path. Now, the Colts, whatever, they got Phillip Rivers, but you have games against the Bears and the Seahawks.
And Bears are still fighting for the top seed in their division.
So that's a tough stretch. But it's in their own hands. If they beat the Colts, and they should beat the Colts, you beat the Bears and the Seahawks. And by the way, that last game of the year, 49ers Seahawks, there's a good chance that's for all the marbles. Now, if you're the Seahawks, you have the Panthers and the 49ers, right? You got your big win against the last night against the Rams. The Panthers, we'll see what happens. The Panthers are 7-7. They got the Bucks this week. They're fighting for their division life. But the Panthers right now aren't a layup. And we've seen Seattle play down to competition. And then they got the big one with the Niners. The easiest path is the Rams. They got the Falcons and the Cards. So if the Niners and the Hawks, if they each stub their toe and the Rams win out, the Rams can still be the 1 seed and win that division. So there is still a lot of meat left on this bone. But I get the people after last night that are going to say, well, the Rams are still the best team. And if they were playing again, whether that's in Seattle or whether it's down in LA, I think I would still pick the Rams. My point is you have to take Seattle seriously. They found a way, even though they did not play their best, they find a way to win games. And in every game, including their 3 losses, they are competitive. Now let's get to the strangest play I've ever seen. And one that I'm still not certain. Now, all the rules officials are saying that this is legit. I still can't process this. McVay couldn't process it. Like he said, he has never seen anything like it. So after the absolute collapse on the part of the Rams, realize with 9.5 minutes left, they're up 16 points. Darnold throws the pick, and you're like, game over. By the 6-minute mark, that was a tie ball game. That's where we went. So, she takes the touchdown back, which, by the way, biggest play in Seattle in years, completely changed the entire outcome of the game.
Biggest offseason acquisition, I'd say, in Seattle Seahawks history.
He's been huge since coming over.
Trade deadline.
Had a couple huge catches last week, and then he goes and does this, turns the game on a dime.
And it's not the first ball he's returned for the house this year.
No, he's absolutely amazing. And by the way, the Rams, they've got a special teams problem. They just do. If you want to say an Achilles heel for the Rams, there are times that their offense, especially on big third downs, see in that fourth quarter, disappear, and their special teams has been atrocious.
But throughout that, like the history of that matchup, even back to when Tavon Austin and, the Rams were back in St. Louis, special teams has usually always been the decider in those games.
Well, again, when you're the Seahawks and every game you play is competitive, it's going to come down to a play here or there. So when you got a guy that takes one to the house, that's a difference maker. So he scores, they get the 2-point conversion, and you're thinking, okay, well, they're down by 16. You need 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions. That's not going to happen. Yes, it is. So they get the punt return. They come up with a defensive stop, score another touchdown. So realize that at 9:30 left in the game, you throw the pick down by 16. At the 6-minute mark, you have now cut the lead to 2, and you're going for a 2-point conversion to tie it. You throw the 2-point conversion, it gets batted down, incomplete pass, ball's laying in the end zone, by the way, whistle blows, everyone's standing around, no big deal, it's all over.
Guy just gonna pick it up like nothing ever happened.
Doesn't even make it he walks over and just bends down. That was Charbonnet, right?
Ball's just in the end zone, so he's already in the end zone.
He's standing by it, and he bends down and kind of grabs the ball like he's going to give it back to the official. 2-point conversion's good. So upon review, turns out that what we all thought was a quick little screen pass was actually a lateral. So it was a fumble. So the ball gets tipped, but because it was behind the line of scrimmage, because the ball went backwards, that technically is a live ball. So that is not a fumble, by the way, right? It's just, it's a lateral that's treated differently than a fumble in the last 2 minutes or whatever going into the end zone. So the fact that it's in the end zone, it can be recovered, but they blow the whistle and no one thinks anything of it.
And that's where the biggest issue is when you blow the whistle.
And this is where I was like, you can't do this, but apparently you can. So I guess by the letter of the law, if there is an obvious recovery, and it's like in a timely fashion or in the flow of the game, it doesn't matter whether the whistle is blown or not. So the fact that the whistle blew apparently doesn't matter, which I find to be very strange, because it was always under the impression that, yes, if there is a clear fumble recovery, we've seen this before. If a play is ruled dead and they blow the whistle, but it turns out it was a fumble and there's a clear recovery, guys diving for it or whatever, they'll give them the ball. I've never seen one in the end zone. I've never seen it on a lateral like that. And I've never seen it to where it's not necessarily a clear and obvious recovery. No one was trying to recover the ball. He was just standing there. But because the whistle blew, no one attempted it. I saw someone point out, like, if that whistle is blown and Charbonnet is standing there and one of the Rams players comes running over and just cuts him in half.
Just clears him.
Blows his ass up. Is that not a foul? Is that not a penalty?
Is he not going to get fined for the hit?
But because he just happened to be standing by the ball, like, no one, and I mean no one, and I, hand to God, Charbonnet didn't know either. That was not some sort of, like, Kurt Herbstreit was handing out all kinds of flowers, being like, oh, this is the most amazing play. And dude, Charbonnet didn't think 2 seconds. He was just standing by the ball. He just bent over. If he really thought that in any way that ball was live, he would have done something other than gradually bend at the waist like he was tying his shoe and pick up the ball. But it turned out, by the letter of the law, it was a fumble. It was a live ball, even though the whistle had blown, and he picked it up. That was the 2-point conversion that tied the game. Are you freaking kidding me? Never seen anything like it in my entire life. Sean McVay said he's been in this game his whole life, never seen anything like it. Someone tell me when a game of that magnitude is turned on that play. And I still don't understand by the letter. I get by the letter of the law why that was allowed. You got to put something in. I don't know how you can ask a defense when the whistle's blown and the ball's laying there and no one's going for it in the end zone. I do not know how you can allow that to be a recovery and a completion for well, I guess not a completion, a recovery for a 2-point play.
I completely understand Sean McVay's frustrations, but his team also did let up a pretty big comeback.
Oh, well, look.
Like they did not play a great second half.
And by the way, for people saying they don't think the whistle blew, it blew.
It definitely did.
When they were showing the replay, I also thought this was kind of cowardly on the part of Amazon. They did not do it with audio. Like they just that was a
selective choice.
Yeah, and like we'll get into the broadcast. Again, we could do like 3 hours on this game. Al Michaels, I love Al Michaels. I love him dearly. Al's my guy.
He's losing some juice.
Al Michaels might be my favorite broadcaster of all time. He gave me the Miracle on Ice. Hey, you do it. That's like Chappelle doing he made Thriller. He can't go against Michael Jackson. I can't go against Al Michaels. You gave me Do You Believe in Miracles? Al was my first guy that was talking about gambling. I love Al Michaels. Al, it's time. It's time to go. It's like I saw Willie Nelson a number of years ago up at Edgefield, and I love Willie. I've seen Willie Nelson like 20 plus times.
His son has taken over for him,
Yeah, Lucas.
Yeah.
I've seen Willie a lot, 20 plus, and I love Willie. I remember sitting there at Edgefield. I was just staring up at the stage, being like, ah. He was playing City of New Orleans, lowercase. It took me like 2 minutes to figure out what he was playing. I didn't know what it was. It's like my favorite Willie Nelson song. I was like, what, huh? I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, oh my God. And that's why I was like, I can't do this anymore. He's come back like 3 or 4 times since. I can't go see him. I had to punt. I couldn't do it. And I'm not gonna lie, that punt return for a touchdown, the Al Michaels call, that might have been my Willie Nelson moment. That was the most subdued. I mean, think about it. Like,
I mean, it made it a, what was it? It made it a 1-score game?
That was, yeah, because they got the 2-point conversion. So that's what cut the lead. So it's a 16-point lead, kick return, they get the 2-point conversion, and it goes to 8. So that was finally, like, the game was over, right? The game was over. And like, oh my God, hey, Seattle's in this, right? They get a 2-point conversion here. It's a one-score game. We got life here. Al was like, and there's the touchdown. It was like he was calling the Masters. It was rough.
It did sound a little golfish.
Yeah. Someone's saying this is Lee Corso stage approach. It is, and like I said, it pains me to say it, but it's just because I think it's easy to pile on guys. And by the way, Herb Street's not doing him any favors either. That's a bad broadcast between the two of those. They need to get out of there. We need to give us give me some Kevin Harlan, give me some
give me some Tirico.
Give me anybody. Give me some Greg Olson. I mean, it's Herbie and Al. It's for a game of that magnitude, and very rarely do I say that announcers don't make games, right? Great games make great games. But an announcer can take away from a game.
Can definitely take away from the experience.
And I thought last night, they took away from it. And that pains me to say. Still the most banana game that I've seen. Because then there was another 2-point conversion. Two 2-point conversions in regulation. Including the most insane 2-point conversion of all time, which I'm still not 100% certain was a 2-point conversion. I think you should put something in the rules to try to, there has to be some sort of protection against that. I thought that was unfair to the Rams. But as you pointed out, the Rams had a million opportunities to seal that game away. And this is like when the Rams played Philadelphia. If you want to say the Seahawks have an Achilles heel, and that Achilles heel is their offense and Sam Darnold, the Rams' Achilles heel is special teams, and they can't close out games.
Yeah, and staying too long in games.
Yes. They play with their food. They had a dozen times to put that game away, and they did not do it, including Al Michaels jinxing with the he hasn't missed a kick all year and missed the kick.
Again, right after the Rashid Shaheed touchdown, you go down and score. It's a 2-score game. It's pretty much over. But then you gave them life. You gave Seattle fans life at home.
So we go to overtime, and you're thinking, well, we've already had 2-point conversions. There can't be a third, can there? Oh, yes, there can. And we'll talk about that. But here is Lowercase with a sports update.
This is Primetime with Isaac and Suk. First round week of the college football playoff is brought to you by Video Only. Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This Sports Center update is brought to you by Mountaintop Metal Roofing. No maintenance, energy efficient, fire resistant, and a lifetime warranty. Do it once, do it right. Visit mountaintopmetalroofing.com. First on the Fan, the college football playoff is officially here as your Oregon Ducks will host the James Madison Dukes inside Autzen Stadium tomorrow at 4:30. The Ducks are 21.5-point favorites coming into Saturday's matchup, and make sure to tune in right here on the Fan for Ducks Game Day with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony. That starts at noon. Some more college football for you as we get the first game of the college football playoff kicking off tonight as the number 9 ranked Alabama Tide take on the 8th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Sooners coming into this game as 1.5-point favorites, and that game will kick off at 5 p.m. We'll make sure to keep you updated throughout the game. The Seattle Seahawks mounted an impressive comeback this Thursday night on their way to the number 1 spot in the NFC. Sam Darnold with an impressive game-winning overtime drive, capping it off with a touchdown to Jackson Smith-Njigba and converting the 2-point conversion to tight end Eric Saubert for a 38-37 victory over the Rams. Last but not least, the Blazers took down the Kings in an overtime brawl Thursday night. Final in that one was 134-133 as Denny Avia led the way for the Zers. He finished the game with 35, knocking down the game-winning free throws after getting fouled with less than 2 seconds remaining. Both teams will travel down to Sacramento for another matchup tomorrow at 7 p.m. inside the Golden One Center. For more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Casey Smith from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now,
about an hour and 20, I think, away from kick, 5-ish kick for Alabama and Oklahoma. Some fans already trickling into the stadium there, I see. Dan Lanning will join us at 4 o'clock, just after 4. Talk about their game with JMU tomorrow. We are talking a little Thursday Night Football right now. And so this is where I say the Rams had plenty of opportunities to salt this away. So after the very controversial 2-point conversion, I mean, the Rams had 3 more drives, resulting in 2 punts and a missed field goal. And then they get the ball to start overtime, march right down, right? 8 plays, 80 yards, score a touchdown in 3:33, and all their defense has to do is come up with a stop. Can't get it. Sam Darnold turns into like good Sam Darnold, which is still kind of spooky that Sam Darnold is the definition of boomer bust. He is, at this point, Sam Darnold is the Sam Darnold from last year in Minnesota. He does a lot really good, but there are limitations to him. But you heard after the game, everyone in that locker room believes in Sam Darnold. And for all the crap that people can give Sam, 6 picks in 2 games against the Rams is not good. But when they needed him on that touchdown drive, the dude was money.
He carved. I thought the choices that he was making
under pressure too.
The pass to the tight end Barner up against the sideline, deep ball to Cup against the toe tap.
It was huge.
He just operated the last drive very well.
They go right down, 9 plays, 65 yards. And this is where, there was only a couple minutes left. I think there was like 3 minutes left. So had they gone for 1, they knew they weren't going to get the ball back probably. So that was either going to end in a tie or the Rams go down and kick a field goal. And because the Rams had already beaten them, they couldn't have the tie. So, McDonald said after the game that, it was the situation. No, you needed it. A tie was a killer to you. So you end up going for 2, and of course, you end up going through some progressions and throwing to a tight end that no one has heard of. Do you realize that they had thrown the ball to him twice all year? And by the way, he had 2 catches. They have now targeted him 3 times on the year, and my man has 3 catches. It's kind of kooky that of all the people that could have made that, Saubert, let's be honest, had anyone heard of him before that game? Unless you were like a diehard, like deep in the woods Seahawks fan, does anyone have any idea who the hell that guy is?
You can go on to Google, look at the stat line for last night's game. His name doesn't pop up having a reception.
No. Because it was in overtime.
Yeah.
You're like, where everyone's just like, what?
Who is this guy?
Yeah. So it was one of those games that was just absolutely drunk. It was bananas. And it's why we love the NFL. It's absolutely why we love the NFL, because occasionally you get something. They always say this about Major League Baseball, right? When you tune in, you're always going to see something you've never seen before. And the NFL gives us those games. And yes, if that game goes down 50 times, the Rams probably win 49 of them. Like I said, I think at one point it was a 98.5% chance when Darnold threw the second pick with 9 minutes and some change. But it didn't matter, because last night it was the one time that everything broke Seattle's way, and now you're sitting there at 12-3 and you control your own destiny. And you look through the NFC, and it's a big week, and later on we'll get into the NFL slate, because there are some monster games in the NFL. Basically win and you're in, or in some cases lose and go home. There's some big matchups. But if you are the Hawks or the Niners, you control your own destiny. Win out and you are the number 1 seed.
I think that's the same for if you're Chicago or Green Bay.
Yeah.
Or even Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
If you win out, you control your own destiny.
I think Detroit might actually need some help.
Detroit needs losses from Chicago.
But yeah, the Hawks and the Niners don't need anything. They just have to win. And as I mentioned earlier, the 49ers, the toughest path. They got the Colts this weekend, and then they play the Bears, and then they got the Seahawks. The Hawks and the Rams only have 2 games left. The Hawks, it's not an easy path. They got Carolina, who's playing okay, and they're fighting for their own division. And then they got the 49ers, and the Rams have a layup. They got the Falcons and the Cards. So the Rams should be 2-0. And so it's just a matter of, can the Seahawks manage to not stub their toe? Because there is certainly a path to where the Rams end up being the 1 seed. All 3 of these teams, by the way, are going to be playoff teams. That is the toughest division in football, and we may see a rematch in the postseason with these teams, and I'm here for it. And I'll tell you right now, the end of the year, we circled this about halfway through the year. We said, dude, keep an eye on the last week of the year, right? Seahawks 49ers. Because the first one that they played, dude, that thing was a doozy the first time around. And that was one that if you're a Seahawks fan, you felt like you let that thing slip away. Like you should not have lost that game. And you get a second crack at them.
And if you're a Rams fan, you now taking look at both games, you've let them hang around in games that you shouldn't have let them hang around in twice now.
So it's just it's going to be phenomenal. It's been a great year in the NFL, and just who would have thought that? I mean, we thought this division was going to be tough. I didn't think the division was going to be this. But at this point, you really can't make an argument any other way. This is the best division in football. And if you're a Niner fan right now, with all the injuries you've had, I mean, I've heard from a Niner fan that says, "Hey, having watched that game last night, I feel pretty good, going into these games. If you're the Niners, you've already beaten each team, once. You've already beaten the Rams. You've already beaten the Seahawks. Even with all their injuries, the Niners are sitting around saying, "Hey, why not us?"
Yeah, why not? I mean, if the fact that they still have enough talent on the offense to keep producing points, they should look and go, well, those defense shouldn't scare me too much because they let me hang around for 4 quarters, possibly even in overtime.
Yeah. There's going to be opportunities against both of those teams because it feels like neither team necessarily can close people out. And what do the Niners do? They just hang around. The Niners just hang around. They're that pesky team that just kind of hangs around, and then
just won't really go away.
They have had 1,000 reasons to roll over and die this year, and they just refuse. And it's going to be a hell of an end to the season. All right, we come back. The Dan Lanning pregame. And then, of course, we have the coach of your Oregon Ducks as they get ready to take on James Madison tomorrow, 4:30 kick. And you can hear that right here on The Fan. So the Dan Lanning pregame show coming up next right here on 105.1 The Fan.
Your leg bone connected to your knee bone. Who's in, who's out?
Why?
This is the Injury Report, brought to you by Zoom Care. Health on your schedule.
But trying to feel more normal, so to go through practices like today without anything on my wrist, I'm still not without some pain with certain movements, but I'm trying to get the strength back in all those little muscles that have been unused for a number of weeks. So it's a work in progress. Last week was obviously just a little pad on top of it. Not sure what this week's going to be, but hopefully, at some point there's not going to be anything on my wrist.
That's Aaron Rodgers talking about his little damaged wrist there. He actually looked good last week. In fact, with that little pad, I thought that was the best Aaron Rodgers looked all year. Huge one, by the way, Steelers-Lions. This is basically one of those, the loser, especially if it's the Lions, probably goes home. A must-win if the Steelers want to win that division, a must-win for the Lions if they want to stay in the playoff hunt. This report brought to you by Zoom Care. With more than 20 neighborhood clinics in Oregon and Southwest Washington, Zoom Care offers convenient access to same-day urgent and emergency care, plus an expanded primary care team. Schedule or learn more at zoomcare.com.
Whether you're
is the Dan Lanning pregame show. Dan Lanning will join us here in about 10 minutes or so. It does feel a little weird. Like, it hasn't really sunk into me that the college football playoff is about to start, like, in an hour. I will say that, like, 5 minutes ago, so College Game Day is out at, they're in Norman. They're at the Oklahoma-Alabama game. And I'll tell you what, it almost looked AI generated. So I'd say the crowd is starting to trickle in. So like I said, this was about 10 minutes ago. I'd say let's go like 30% kind of full up in the stadium. Some of the players are kind of getting outstretched and doing some of their pregame stuff. And the sun is setting in Norman, and oh my God, it's like a Norman Rockwell painting. Like, if you want a little piece of America, look at, like, Pat McAfee tweeted it. Go look at his Twitter. Again, his was like 5 minutes ago, and tell me that doesn't give you a little bit of of some sports tightness there. I mean, look at that.
I mean, that's just gorgeous.
Right? Doesn't it look almost fake?
Yeah, that looks like it's pastels or it's like watercolors.
It's just this is the one thing that the NFL and look, I get the NFL is the 800-pound gorilla. Nothing can touch it. It's a better product. There's a lot of problems with college football. I get it. It's a bit of a mess right now. But there is something about being in places like Norman, Oklahoma, Autzen, down in Eugene, Oregon. If you look around at the big-time college football programs, outside of maybe Ohio State, so they're in Columbus, USC, I'll give you LA. Outside of that, where's a big city that college football rules? If we're gonna
Tallahassee, maybe?
Tallahassee's not a big city, I can assure you of that.
Then I got really nothing. I was trying to just pick what's the biggest football city in Florida.
I've played in Tallahassee. I can assure you, no. I mean, the biggest city would be Miami.
Okay.
You know, if you wanted to say Miami is a big city, but the Normans, it's the Tuscaloosas, right? It's Eugene, it's places like that and stadiums like that. I don't know, that makes me a little romantic for college football, and it just kind of. I think that might have been the first time that sunk in. We're an hour and 20 minutes away from kick, because tomorrow at 4:30 here on the Fan, pregame starting way before that. When do we start our pregame? Is it
noon?
Yeah, we start noon. And so we'll take you all the way up to kick, and then we got the postgame show and all that. But it feels a little weird because, dare I say, for the first playoff game ever in Eugene, I don't know if the buildup has been quite what we thought it was going to be because it's James Madison.
I think you're right. I don't think it'll probably hit most Oregon fans. I know it won't really hit just me in terms of impact until I think I'm down in the environment, kind of surrounded by other Duck fans.
I can't wait to see it, and I hope it's turned up. But just looking at what Norman and it has, what Oklahoma has, bringing Alabama in, well, I think Oregon is happy that JMU is coming, because that should be kind of a knock off the rust sort of week. Something tells me Dan Lanning will disagree with that, but I think most people think that that's kind of a warm-up game. Imagine what we'd be talking about, right? I promise you, if this was Alabama coming or Notre Dame, we would not have led off the show with Thursday Night Football.
No, we would not have. I think we would have 100%. I think, yeah, it has 100% to do with who we're playing, the hype around it, because I don't think that many Duck fans are as hyped for this one as much as they are already looking forward to Texas Tech.
Should be good, though. Should be a great environment. I think
college football is college football.
College football is college football. Football is football, and you have to do football. And when we come back, we will do football with the head coach of your number 5 in the country, Oregon Ducks. Dan Lanning joins us next here on 105.1 The Fan.
I'm PJ Glasser, host of San
station. Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This sports update is brought to you by Reynolds Defense Firm. If you've been arrested for a DUI, you need a team of attorneys that you can put your trust into. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today, online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on the Fan, the college football playoff is here as your Oregon Ducks will host the James Madison Dukes inside Autzen Stadium tomorrow at 4:30. The Ducks are 21.5-point favorites coming into Saturday's matchup. Make sure to tune in right here on the Fan for Ducks Game Day with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony. That starts at noon. Some more college football for you as we get the first game of the college football playoff kicking off tonight as the number 9 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide take on the Oklahoma Sooners. Sooners come into this game as 1.5-point favorites. That game will kick off at 5 p.m. and we'll keep you updated with the scores throughout the game. Seattle Seahawks mounted an impressive comeback in Thursday Night Football on their way to the number 1 spot in the NFC. Sam Darnold with an impressive game-winning overtime drive, capping it off with a touchdown to Jackson Smith-Njigba and converting the 2-point conversion to tight end Eric Saubert for the 38-37 overtime victory over the Rams. Last but not least, the Blazers took down the Sacramento Kings in an overtime brawl Thursday night. Final in that one was 134-133 as Denny Avia led the way for the Zers. He finished the game with 35, knocking down the game-winning free throws after getting fouled with less than 2 seconds remaining. Both teams will travel down to Sacramento for another matchup tomorrow at 7 p.m. inside the Golden One Center. For more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Casey Smith from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of dirt and spray.
Really good about this team. It's a brand new group compared to last year's team, and I think they've proven that throughout the season. But there's a lot of things that have shown up for us that have made us different from seasons past, and certainly excited to see where it goes this year.
Is there an advantage both ways to having the extra week of kind of rest and then a week to maybe knock it off the rust? And if you do get by that, playing a team that has the longer rest, is there advantages both ways?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're certainly excited to get out there and play. It's been a while since we've gotten out there and got to play a game. And then certainly you can say there's advantages to playing in the championship game or not. We'd always love to be in that. But it gave us a chance to let our team get healthy and attack some things in different ways, which has been a real benefit.
And then, like, do the holidays come in at all? Like, this is my favorite time of the year. I'm putting up Christmas lights. We got a tree. We're doing all that. You know, we're doing the holiday feast. You guys are trying to win a national championship. How much do the holidays creep into the Lanning family or maybe to the Duck program in general?
Well, we certainly got a tree in our house. I didn't put it up, but we certainly have one. And, you know, I think all of us know that this is a really special opportunity, a special moment for us. And we all say, hey, let's take an opportunity to put this on hold for a little bit and celebrate the holidays kind of when everything wraps up for us. So that's kind of the mindset of our program. We get to celebrate being with each other and some of the other things that are great about Christmas and everything else that goes around that, more so than, you know, the actual holiday itself. You know, the opportunity to keep playing football while we're playing football is pretty special.
Is that the hardest trade-off, being a coach? I mean, I'm sure there's a million great things about being a coach, but is that the biggest trade-off is kind of missing some of those things?
I don't know. I never think about it like that way. You know, I always think about all the benefits, and there's certainly a ton of benefits, but there's things you sacrifice for anything in life. And, you know, it's more what your family sacrifices for you to be able to chase your dream. And I've been really fortunate to get to do that.
Yeah. What was your favorite? Did you have like a favorite Christmas tradition growing up? You know, were you like a Christmas Eve guy, favorite present? What was Christmas like in your family growing up?
Well, for me, it's definitely probably the food. You know, my mom would always make a breakfast casserole that was really good. And there was these cinnamon rolls that were really awesome. So I mean, it grew over time. Certainly when you're a little kid, you like the presents. But yeah, Christmas is a fun holiday. We enjoy it.
Yeah, there is something great about like that Christmas breakfast, and you hit on something there. The breakfast casserole is criminally underrated, and it feels like it only comes out during the holidays.
You know, I actually cooked one last week, and I don't know if it's because I was thinking about Christmas or not, but you know, I very rarely am I the guy cooking dinner. But we had some earlier nights just because, you know, the prep's a little bit different when you have a little bit more time. And, yeah, I threw down. The boys helped me out, but we threw down and made some breakfast casserole here for dinner. A little breakfast at night, which was fun.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe like a nice crispy hash brown topping. Is that what, maybe some cornflakes?
It was in the bottom. So you go sausage first, you go hash brown second, you add some cheese, a little bit more than bacon then. I think we had some jalapenos and cheese in there, and then a little bit more hash brown on top.
Ooh, I like where we're going with it. No country gravy?
No, I mean eggs. Eggs is the filling, right? So we cook the eggs in there. But no country gravy. I didn't get that far.
I like where we're going with that, though. We're anyone that can appreciate a quality breakfast casserole is good in my book. With all this time, you're looking ahead to James Madison. Have you spent the entire time on James Madison, or is there such a thing as too long a prep where you work on yourself and then you get into maybe a normal game week where you start the prep for a specific team?
Yeah, I think you hit it. You know, for us, it's certainly we work on ourselves. You know, spend a lot of time on ourselves first, and then try to capture your players' focus and say, okay, let's get into the weeds here and start working on JMU, which they're obviously a really good team, and they deserve the attention necessary to prepare for them. But I think if you go too long, it can become a distraction.
Yeah, what do you see when you look at James Madison?
Yeah, I mean, a team that pitches a lot at you. Defensively, it's tough to prepare for because they have a lot of different fronts, a lot of different movements. They do a great job of pressuring. Offensively, they run the ball extremely well. They have a quarterback that can run the ball as well. So it's a real challenge. It's definitely a quality opponent that you know has done some really good things. I think anybody that ranks in the top 10 in scoring offense and scoring defense is doing something right. They've obviously done a lot right this year.
You're so good at the messaging for your team. It's kind of become like the stuff of lore, the Dan Lanning pregame speech. Does it change the mentality when you're getting ready to play an Ohio State where maybe you guys are an underdog and you're going up against a blue blood versus this is kind of David and Goliath and now you guys are Goliath instead of David?
No, I mean, the message is ultimately you're saying the same thing in a lot of different ways each week. But our focus is the same. It's about going out here and playing the best game that we're capable of. And if we do that, then let the rest take care of itself.
And I know that nothing specific. That's not the way we do things around here. But from a health standpoint, are we getting closer to maybe seeing some guys back on the field?
Yeah, we're certainly healthier than we've been. You know, that's one of the benefits of having some time here. We've been able to get some guys closer to being out there and ready to, be able to help us, and hopefully that can show up in this game.
Yeah. Also, can I point out the press conference, the call out of the Adidas shoe press conference, savage, and I'm here for it. That that might have been my favorite thing that you've had in a press conference all year. Do we know who that poor reporter was that was wearing Adidas?
Oh yeah, know him well. Know him well.
When's the last time you wore a pair of shoes that was non-Nike?
It's been a while. Yeah, it's probably been at least 4 years. Unless I've probably worn some dress shoes.
Okay.
But that'd be about it.
Nike can't make you like a or maybe a nice pair of Jordans, like a Jordan 1 you could wear as a dress shoe.
I've definitely worn Jordans as dress shoes for sure. I've definitely done that, but yeah, I've probably worn a dress shoe here or there. It wasn't. Otherwise, I'm in Nikes for sure.
Yeah. Well, I just because even at Georgia, you guys were a Nike school. I'm assuming even at Georgia, the Adidas, the 3 stripes are a no go.
Yeah, I haven't had those in my closet for a long time.
What happens if like one of the Lanning boys asks for an Adidas thing for Christmas? How does that go?
Well, I guess you just said they don't get it, but I don't think they'd ever ask for it.
Now, do we spoil the kids on Christmas, or do we go a little more reserved?
I'm certainly more the Grinch. My wife is certainly more Santa Claus. So it ends up being a little bit more of a balance when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Now, do you do the standard dad thing? Because this was me, where you get to find out at the same time what your kids got for Christmas because we're not aware.
100%.
That was always my favorite, because my kids are all older now, but I was always amazed that I think half the time the kids knew more of what they were getting than I did.
Yeah, 100%. Same here. I'm just the guy that's trying to do all the math on game day. I'm the guy sitting here saying, okay, wait, what's that? How much was that? That's a little bit more what I'm doing.
Well, there's where bonuses come in, right? You make a run to the national title, that pays for Christmas, does it not?
That's right. Yeah.
What is different about this year's team versus last year's team at the same point when you look at the playoffs?
Well, again, definitely completely different teams, but I do think we have a lot of guys that can play winning football, which is important, that you have good depth at this point. And when you're healthy, that gives you a chance. We've been down some positions. Last year I think we were a relatively healthy team, but I don't think we were as deep as we are now. So if all things are clicking, I feel really good about this group.
And one more thing, you have 2 coaches now, and this is, kudos to your program. When you win, people leave. But you went through this when you took the job at Oregon, and you went on and won a national title while having 2 jobs. Both your coordinators now are actually head coaches at other big-time programs. How do you balance all that? Is that something that you talk to them because you've been through it? Or how do we make sure that we're all on the same page?
Yeah, I mean, when you work with guys for 3 years and 4 years, I mean, I think everybody understands the objective and the mission, and I'm excited for those guys. I want to see them go have great success, but they've got really clear focus on what we have to accomplish here.
Yeah, I would assume too that when you took this job at Oregon, I'm assuming having a national title in your hip pocket on the recruiting trailer with the kids, I'm assuming that's a nice feather in your cap when you're moving on to a new gig.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt.
And do we know what the weather is going to be like? If it never rains at Autzen, but it feels like it might rain.
Yeah, it'll be great. Whatever it is, we'll be excited to be out there and playing in it. And I'm really anxious to see our fans show up. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about Autzen Stadium is our crowd, their engagement, what they make the atmosphere like. So this is a great opportunity for them, to put that on display and show the world, really what Autzen's all about. And, the weather's going to be great because we're going to get to be there together and experience it together.
And we're still going cotton hoodie, I suppose.
Whatever they throw in my locker, we'll see what it is. But yeah, I'll probably have a hoodie on.
Well, Coach, we always appreciate you taking time for us, especially bumping it a day so that we could get you on before the game. I know everyone's excited about it. Autzen's going to be rocking, and we wish you all the luck against James Madison tomorrow. Good luck.
All right. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. Hopefully we catch up with you next week, getting ready to take on Texas Tech. Dan Lanning's appearance always brought to you by Philbrook Law. Other attorneys fight for clicks. Philbrook Law fights for wins. Philbrook Law, accident and injury lawyers, your local law team. When we come back, the Dan Lanning postgame show right here on 105.1 The Fan. Welcome into the Dan Lanning post-game interview. Got 50 minutes until the college football playoff officially kicks off. We get a Friday night game tonight. We got John Mateer running around. The atmosphere in Norman looks amazing. I was watching ESPN Game Days there, and McAfee was bringing up the point, and I totally agree with him. We should have second-round games at home stadiums, too. I get the idea of the neutral field, but the first two rounds should be at home stadiums. One, I think it would eliminate, obviously, some of the travel conundrums that people are facing. It would keep costs down, and it's just a better environment. One of the things that makes college football, if you believe this, better than the NFL is home environments. There's nothing like a college football home environment. And Lanning kind of pointed out there that he expects the Austin crowd to be rocking, and I hope so. That's the one thing that gives me pause. I have no doubt. I've gone back and I've watched, I think, 5 James Madison games. And never say never in the world of football, okay? Because weird things happen. Strange things happen.
But,
I mean, it's just no one ever predicts the miracle upset until it happens. No one thinks that the U.S. is going to beat Russia in hockey until it goes down. Hence, do you believe in miracles? But I remember when Oregon State knocked off USC at Reeser all those years ago, right? I remember that, like, I think it was a Friday night game, if I'm not mistaken, because we were on the air. So it was either Thursday night or Friday night that went down. And I remember Beaver fan, calling, in and being all, no one gave us a chance. And I said, you didn't either. No one could point to a logical reason why Oregon State should have won that game. But that's the beauty of sports. And it's the beauty of college sports, is that you don't necessarily need a logical reason. Sometimes weird things happen. But watching James Madison play, and again, I haven't watched every game, but I've watched 3 entire games of James Madison and 2 parts of others. There is nothing that I look at when I watch James Madison that says they should beat Oregon. There's nothing about watching that game that says that they should be competitive with Oregon.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that weird things can't happen.
Any given Sunday, any given Saturday.
Yes. Beating Oregon at home, one of the hardest things to do. It's one of the best home environments. It's hard. Indiana did it, but this isn't Indiana, right? This is a team that physically cannot match up with Oregon. But one of the things that you do wonder about, and Lanning gives me a lot of faith because that dude is a psycho. And something tells me that Dan Lanning will have his guys ready to go. But I remember when they went out to Northwestern this year, and it's funny to be talking about a home playoff game at Autzen Stadium and needing this, but when they went and played Northwestern, remember that was that kind of the makeshift stadium, and he said, hey, we have to kind of generate some of our own juice. And I wonder if Oregon is going to have to generate some of their own juice. And some of this may be overblown. Like, we know that as of right now, there are a lot of seats available for tomorrow's game. There's a lot of seats available on the secondary market. There's a lot of seats available on the regular market. Secondary market right now, get-in price is about $50. You can get into this game for cheap. You can get a good seat to this game for $100.
That's a steal for any college football playoff game.
Well, the get-in price right now in Norman is like $700. I mean, it's so when I'm watching this, the pregame here with Oklahoma and Alabama, it does make me a little jealous. It makes me a little envious that I want that at Autzen. And at the same time, does anyone want to run the risk of having Alabama come play them? Or would you want the warm-up game of James Madison? So you can't have it both ways. You either get the tune-up game and maybe the environment that you necessarily isn't the best in the world, or do you want the coin flip game but have that place juiced to the gills? I'll take the James Madison in hopes that the crowd does show up.
But I think that's a really good point. I mean, about your point, or I should say a really good thing about your point to having home college football games in the second round, because then that seeding becomes super important.
Yes. I just think as this thing moves forward, especially if it ends up going to a 16-team playoff, one of the big rubs that everyone has is if your team makes a deep run, where do you decide to spend your money? Honestly, I think there's multiple reasons why Autzen may or may not be full, or at least why the tickets are cheap. And right now we're less than, we're 24 hours away from kick. And there's thousands of seats that are still available, either on the regular market or on the secondary market. If you want to go to that game, you can go to that game. And I think there's a couple things that come into it. One, obviously, James Madison, it's a 21-point underdog. the weather, although it sounds like the weather isn't going to come until Sunday. So I think at least right now, looking at the forecast, I think it's going to be okay. I mean, I think right now, the last time I just looked like a couple minutes ago, I think it was like a 10-15% chance of rain. So we should get some decent weather. Certainly the cost comes into it because at least at face value, these tickets were hundreds of dollars. Now, I wonder if people are seeing how low these are going, if people are going to start snapping these up and kind of doing a last minute thing. Because you don't have to get a hotel. If you live anywhere in Portland, hey, you can drive down. If you
Just one highway.
Yeah, how many people right now are sitting around being like, wait, I can get into this game for $50? Yeah. Hey, you want to go spend a Saturday? You want to go down, tailgate a little bit, $50, get into a game? So I think it's going to be a robust crowd. I think by the time it kicks off, I do think it's going to be juiced. I don't think it's going to be Ohio State. I don't think it's going to be UW. But I think there's going to be some juice to it. But I think the big reason why a lot of people aren't necessarily jazzed up about this, I think a lot of the diehards are already planning their trip to Miami. I think they're already putting that into play. But if that wasn't the case and you didn't have to know that you were going to travel to Miami and then maybe to another location, then maybe to another one, like if you're a diehard, I don't know where do you spend your money? At what point, when you have a budget to work with, I had a friend of mine who's a diehard Husky fan. When they made their run to the national championship, it was tough. He's like, do you wait to try to go to the national title game? But there's a good chance you don't get to the national title game. So where do you go with that? At what point you're like, yep, I'm just going all in, because not everyone has 20 grand to spend. My guess is if you go to all these games, you're probably into it for 15 to 20 grand. And most of us can't do that. Most of us may not even have the time to do that, let alone the money. So it kind of ends up in a weird situation. It's so strange that we are on the precipice of, in theory, what's the biggest game in Autzen Stadium history?
I mean, it has to be the biggest game in
There's never been a playoff game, right? There's never been a playoff game.
And how many firsts in college football are we really getting anymore?
And yet, I wonder if Ole Miss and Tulane has a little bit of this. Because the other two games, Miami and A&M, by the way, for a good seat to that game, it's $2,000. It's $2,000. We were looking a seat between the 40-yard lines, about 20 rows up for Texas A&M, Miami, $2,000 for one seat. We looked for Ole Miss, LSU, and again, we did this on Tuesday. Ole Miss, LSU was, I think, between $600 and $800. Alabama, Oklahoma was about $1,000 to $1,200, and that seat at Autzen was $200. And I think that price may have gone down. So it's weird. It's weird that just out here with all the success Oregon's had, and again, in theory, at face value, the biggest game at Autzen Stadium, and it's not sold out. I think it will be. I think by the time it's done, I'll bet you they announce a sellout. But it's strange to watch Oklahoma and Alabama getting ready to go and know that we're 24 hours from kick on the home of the Ducks. And everyone I hear is just like, kind of like, it's a foregone conclusion. It's a strange world. If you would have told me 5 years ago that this was going to be the build up to the first ever playoff game, I don't think I would have believed you.
Yeah, I don't think I would have either. It's the fact that it's a historical event. I said it again. How many times do we really get firsts in college football history? And the fact that Duck fans aren't really salivating, jumping at their gills to get tickets to set an attendance record at the first playoff game versus, again, we set an attendance record at Ohio State last year. Yeah, that's Ohio State, but this is a historical moment in Oregon's history. So I'm a little confused by the Ducks' reaction.
I do not have any my worry meter is zero. It just is. If I'm watching James Madison, I'm just not concerned at all. But there's always that little thought in the back of your mind. What if? What if the crowd doesn't show up? What if the team's flat? What if there's some rust? What if some of the receivers coming back? And again, you want to talk about rust. DeCorian Moore, by the way, posted on his Instagram, just one word said back. So I'm assuming DeCorian Moore is back. So you throw him into the mix. I mean, there's just nothing about this that says James Madison should have a chance in this game. But when everything is telling you that, there's always that little just kind of thought in the back of your mind of like, what if? What if? You imagine that place being flat, it's not sold out, and then God forbid you go into the second half and this ends up being a competitive game. The pucker factor will be real.
And that sea of purple just happens to start standing up.
I want to say too, for James Madison, this will never happen again. This is a one and done. I mean, they've already basically said that there will be no second automatic qualifier for the group of 5. That ain't happening. James Madison and a team from the Sun Belt will never make the playoff again. Which, by the way, this may be a topic for another time. I know we're up against it, but like the Nick Saban saying, I don't want to start S, but then starts S by basically saying that James Madison doesn't belong because his analogy was, would you allow a AAA team to play in the World Series? I understand in theory what you're saying, but you want to talk about a pompous horse crap thing to say? I mean, the idea that you're basically saying 2/3 of the sport doesn't matter and that they don't belong and they did everything that they were supposed to do. This isn't James Madison's fault.
What more did they need to do other than win their conference?
I feel bad for James Madison. And if they were playing anyone other than Oregon, I would be rooting so hard for James Madison and Tulane, by the way, to give everyone the middle finger. Now, it's not going to happen. Tulane and James Madison are both going to lose by 30. But I would love for one of these teams to actually do this to shut everyone up. I would also like to point out, do you know that in the playoff, the playoff era that we've had, including the 14 playoff, do you know half of the games, half, have been blowouts, have been 2 scores or more? Including last year, Ohio State bludgeoned basically everybody. They kicked the hell out of Tennessee. They kicked the hell out of the number 1 team in Oregon. They're up by 30 at the half. I didn't hear anyone saying that Oregon didn't belong. So I get it that JMU and Tulane are probably going to get blown out. A lot of teams get blown out. It doesn't mean they don't belong. It doesn't mean that 2/3 of the sport doesn't get to play. And by the way, blame the ACC for being so crappy and not fixing the rules that a 7-5 team won their conference. It's not James Madison's fault. They played by the rules, and now basically James Madison, Tulane get to hear, mainly James Madison, that they're crap and they don't belong, and that sucks because for those players, it may not mean much out here, and people are like, it's fine. But for them to get on a bus and then get on a plane and fly out here,
I hope their Super Bowl.
I hope those guys remember it forever. I think it's not going to go well, but this is like a team that gets into the NCAA tournament. It's a 16 versus a 1. And it has happened. Virginia lost. It's not going to happen here. I just don't like that it's turned into a let's crap on James Madison and let's crap on Tulane. Crap on the other teams that didn't do their job.
Crap on Notre Dame for not being in a real conference.
Yeah. Still don't think it's going to end well.
No. I think my biggest thing is I think Oregon's going to cover. And 21.5 points is a lot.
Dude, I'll tell you right now.
But I think I'll take it.
I'm not touching. If you're betting on this game, it's Oregon and lay the points.
Yep.
It is. But as I stated from watching this game or watching James Madison, I think there's a chance their defense can keep this somewhat competitive. I think James Madison will score 10 points, if that. They will not score. This will be a low-scoring affair. I am pretty confident that their offense is going to do next to nothing. On the defensive side of the ball, we've seen Oregon get drug into deep water. We've seen their offense spin their wheels a little bit. There could be a little rustiness. And when you watch James Madison play, they are a very good defensive team that rallies to the ball. And that's where I could see if this thing is going to be remotely competitive, they may be able to drag Oregon for a little bit into maybe a slower paced, drag it out game. But at the end of the day, they do not have the Jims and Joes. And I know we all want to believe in the team. I always hear like this team believes in each other and it's the closest team in the world. And we just, God darn it, we love each other.
You just got to believe.
Well, that's, that's all fun and dandy. But at the end of the day, when you're like that's like a group of humans. Let's say we get like a group of pals that are like the Stand By Me crew, a bunch of kids that are like, we're the best of friends, but then you go and like you fight a bunch of gorillas. Well, I'm glad that you really believe in each other, but at the end of the day, you're literally walking into a gorilla cage and they're going to tear your arms off and beat them with it. And that's what
will close the cage behind them with their back against the door.
And that's what will happen. You are walking into a cage that will not end well. But I wish it ended better. I wish James Madison was playing someone else and then I could fully go for James Madison. But most of the time you got to remember when David and Goliath meet, I get it that there's a wonderful story about a sling and a rock, but most of the time Yeah, most of the time Goliath just steps on him, and that's the end of it. And something tells
Big
me
squash is little.
The big squash will little. But this Oklahoma game is getting ready to kick off here, and I'm telling you, that environment, I hope that's what Otson brings to the table tomorrow, because this thing just feels like a big-time football game, and I don't know where to go on this one. I hate Oklahoma's offense so very much, but Alabama just limps their way into this. I have no faith in it. So, I mean, they've already played once, and Oklahoma drug them into deep water. 34 minutes to kick. At Norman, something tells me Alabama, but I don't have a great feel on this one, but I'm excited for it. When we come back in the news, here, though, is Casey with an update.
This is Primetime with Isaac and Suk. First round week of the college football playoff is brought to you by Video Only. Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, the college football playoff is officially here, as your Ducks will host the James Madison Dukes inside Autzen Stadium tomorrow at 4:30. The Ducks are 21.5-point favorites coming into Saturday's matchup, and make sure to tune in right here on the Fan for Ducks game day with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony Newman at noon. Some more college football for you as we get the first game of the college football playoff kicking off in just about 35 minutes here, as the number 9 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide take on the number 8 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners come into this game 1.5-point favorites, and that game will kick off just here in a moment. We'll keep you updated with the scores throughout the game. Seattle Seahawks mounted an impressive comeback in Thursday Night Football on their way to the number 1 spot in the NFC. Sam Darnold with an impressive game-winning overtime drive, capping it off with a touchdown to Jackson Smith-Njigba and converting the 2-point conversion to tight end Eric Saubert for the 38-37 victory over the Rams. Last but not least, the Blazers took down the Kings in an overtime brawl Thursday night. The final in that one was 134-133 as Denny Avia led the way for the Zers. He finished the game with 35, knocking down the game-winning free throws after getting fouled with less than 2 seconds remaining. Both teams will travel down to Sacramento for another matchup tomorrow at 7 p.m. inside the Golden One Center. For more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Casey Smith from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of Ducks game day. Before and after every Ducks football game this season. The Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Suk sticking around here for the advocates. If you've been wronged, if you've been injured, no one's going to help you out because insurance companies don't Welcome in the news coming up here. You can text the program 503-864-6326. Sorry I agree with Nick Saban. I just don't like him. JMU and Tulane don't deserve it. That from John. By the way, there will always be Group of 5 access because of antitrust laws, by the way, just so you know. They can change it to make sure that 2 teams don't get in, but realize
there's
that
always going to be one.
If they try to cut out the Group of 5, which is 2/3 of the NCAA, there will be lawsuits, there will be antitrust, so there will always be Group of 5 access. Or now, I guess it's Group of 6, right? It's now 6 with the Pac-12, but there will always be access. Now, they will fix it to where, yes, there won't get 2 in, but there always will be 1. There has to be access, otherwise, again, lawsuits, and no one wants that.
And I also think this year is probably the year where people just go, okay, they have 2 Group of 5 teams, because I think consistently now we're going to get 2 Group of 6 teams. I mean, the Boise States, hopefully my Oregon State.
You won't get 2 again. But, I mean, if it went to 16 maybe, but I still doubt it. You're going to get 1. But just because 2 things can be true. Would we rather see Notre Dame or Texas in this? Are those better teams? Yes. Does it mean that Tulane and James Madison don't deserve it? They didn't earn their way in? No. And if one of them does upset that, it would completely upend the sport. And we've seen upsets before. So just because we think on paper that these teams don't belong doesn't mean that they didn't earn the right.
We also don't know how Ole Miss is going to come out and play. They didn't have a head coach.
Well, and that's the other weird part is, I mean, it's going to get into a whole other thing, but Oregon has 2 coordinators that are now head coaches. JMU's coach is actually UCLA's coach. Ole Miss's coach was their defensive coordinator. The people calling the plays and running the offense are actually LSU coaches right now. I mean, Tulane's coach, by the way, he's Florida's coach now. I mean, all of this stuff makes no damn sense. So if we're going to nitpick and say that the JMU and Tulane are the reason why the playoff is stupid and the calendar and the timing, dude, there's way bigger stuff going on in this than just JMU and Tulane. But I digress. It is December 19th in the year of our Lord 2025. It is time for In the News. Check out the old national calendar. It is, what do we got? It's National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day. If that does anything for you. Do you have an ugly Christmas sweater?
I do not. I need to get one. I have a buddy who has a really nice ugly Christmas sweater. It's one of those Tito's ones. I need one of those.
I don't have an ugly Christmas sweater. Now, I do like a good sweater, but I don't necessarily, I don't even have a holiday sweater. I like a good sweater, but yeah, and I've never understood. I used to have a Metallica sweater. That was I don't know if that would qualify as an ugly Christmas sweater. But it kind of shrunk. I made the mistake of washing it, which don't do to sweaters.
Yeah, I don't think I have a sweater anymore because I think I washed my only sweater years ago.
Yeah, you can't wash.
Shrunk on me.
Yeah, you wash that sweater, it's a death sentence.
Yeah, I don't think I own a sweater.
I'm a big fan of the casual kind of surf sweater. I'm a big fan. The sweater has kind of replaced the sweatshirt for me. I got one over there. I'm not wearing it right now, but yeah, the casual sweater has really taken it's taken a step up in my wardrobe hierarchy.
See, if I'm wearing like a sweater, I'd rather just wear something that's like sweatshirt material without a hood.
Well, I don't wear the hoodie. I'm a crew neck sweatshirt guy, and I think a lot of the nicer kind of knit sweaters are more comfortable than sweatshirts.
I think you're right.
And they look a little like it looks a little better. It looks a little better than just wearing a regular sweatshirt. It's also National Oatmeal Muffin Day, National Hard Candy Day, and I guess this doesn't apply because the Oregon game is tomorrow, but it is National Underdog Day as well.
Does that mean Alabama?
Is Alabama the dog in this?
Technically.
What's the spread this way?
1.5 points.
1.5 points?
Just because Oklahoma's got the victory earlier in the year.
Well,
and home field advantage.
Yeah. Well, in case you've been living under a rock, it's raining, and it's been raining. Now, the nice part is because we thought we were going to get another dumping. It feels now that they're saying that the worst part of the storm has passed. So we are going to get some continued showers over the next couple days, but the idea of the atmospheric river, the worst part of that seems to be gone. Now, the bad part is a lot of the rivers are already flooded. In fact, there's already a bunch of level 3 go now evacuation notices for parts of Clackamas. Major flooding, localized landslides. In fact, Dusty's dad, the fan man's dad, is out. He lives over on the Clackamas River, and he was showing me a video today. It was spooky. He lives about 30 feet from the river's edge, and there is a kind of a mooring, a pole there that he said is about 12 feet high. There's about a foot of it that's exposed that you can see. So the water's completely flooded their property. It's flooded the house. So the fan man's dad had to bolt.
Jeez.
So there's a bunch of evacuations in Clackamas. Malala's facing it. They're saying that Malala they were terrified that it may become an island because they got the 3 rivers there. Got the Malala River, Pudding River, and then the Clackamas River. And they're saying if all 3 of those flooded bad enough, Malala would essentially become an island surrounded by floodplains. So there's some scary stuff out there. There is a lot of rain that has come down.
Stay safe out there.
Yeah. So they do say they think the worst of it is over, but that doesn't mean that the floods can't still happen because the water levels are extremely high. But in theory now, the worst of it is over. So fingers crossed, and just hopefully everyone out there stays safe. And there are some bad reports coming in, and we'll touch on those when we come back. But that's the big news, that hopefully we're through the worst of it. So everyone stay safe out there. We come back. We do have some news related to that flooding, some stuff to do over the weekend, and a nice little story coming out of Portland as well. We don't want it to be all negative. So in the news, rolls on when we come back here on 105.1 The Fan.
This is the Fan's window into sports, a view into today's top stories, brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Tampa Bay and Brady and beat San Francisco coming from behind in the championship game. Meanwhile, that punt is caught, and down the line goes Rashid Shaheed for the score out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was the most underwhelming call in the history of mankind, and I love Al Michaels, but my God, can we get some juice there? And that was the punt return. They were down 16 at that point, and that's what kind of started the Seahawks on their comeback, which a couple touchdowns and 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions later, including the most controversial one I've ever seen. And the Seahawks walked away with a giant win last night at home against the Rams. This window into sports brought to you by Window Nation. Right now, buy 4 windows, get 4 more free, and get a free entry door when you buy a house full of windows. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com for a free in-home estimate. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com.
The Oregon Ducks
Welcome in. Squeezing a couple more stories here in the news here on 105.1 The Fan. Got a little Oklahoma and Alabama getting ready to kick here in just a few moments. Joey Harrington will join us at 5:30 for 2 segments. We'll talk to him about, I don't know, maybe a little holiday cheer. Me not getting invited over to the Harrington house, or getting invited and not getting a chance to go. I got a bone to pick with him about that. We'll preview the James Madison Oregon game, find out where the Joey worry meter is. And then, of course, we have the club. This comes to us from rural Sheridan out in Yamhill County. This was kind of spooky. We talked about all the flooding going on. Don't drive into the floodwaters, people. So this morning, about 7:40 in the morning, there was a flooded stretch of road, and a 52-year-old man decided to ignore the warnings, drive around the barrier, try to get through the flooded road, and was swept away. And unfortunately, the sheriff down there did confirm that man passed. So just be smart out there. A lot of evacuations going on around right now, a lot of mudslides, a lot of flooding. So if you see a road and it says it's closed, just take that for what it is. It's closed. Don't drive around the barrier. Don't think that because you're in a 4x4 or a big truck that you can go, driving that. You have no idea how deep that water is and no idea how fast moving that water is. So getting where you're going is not worth losing your life. So let's be smart out there.
Don't mess with Mother Nature, man.
Mother Nature
Don't mess with Mother Nature.
So that was a kind of a scary drowning. Now, this was a really good story. By the way, I didn't even know this was possible. But I guess yesterday, a man Peter Panned off the 205 bridge. He jumped off the Glen Jackson Bridge, and he lived. Yeah, a man jumped from the I-205 bridge into the Columbia River and survived Thursday morning. 2 rescue boats, one from Vancouver, the other from Portland, raced to the scene. They spotted the man in the river and ended up pulling him out. They did life-saving measures. It was about 9:15, and they were able to rescue him. So I guess, like right now, I guess he's in stable condition and he's going to make it. Now, we don't know exactly why he jumped, although, you probably have a good idea. But honestly, I thought if you jumped from that bridge, like, you were cooked. I thought that was kind of
I guess the tide must be extremely high right now.
Oh, but I guess everything turned out to be, well, I mean, hopefully he's okay down the road. But
any injuries reported?
I'm guessing there's probably a privacy thing there. But
most likely.
The fact that 2 boats, like, people saw him jump. Imagine, like, on your morning commute, you're like, hey, Ma, what? Oh, whoop. And as they called it in, and 2 boats got right over there and were able to rescue him. So that was kind of maybe a feel-good story. Maybe this guy gets a second chance at life. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, besides obviously the game down at Autzen Stadium, if you're not going down to the game, there is a winter market going on. That's over down at the Lloyd Center. If you're looking for a last-minute gift, that's going to be going on Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Winter market's always fun. Now you can go down there and get little trinkets or whatever. Take the kids down. There's some food and some hot cocoa and whatnot. The Portland Santa Con is going on right now. The jolliest pub crawl. 30 nightlife venues across the city. You can get tickets there. Just look up Portland Santa Con. And that gives you a couple different entries into the bars, a couple of drink vouchers, and they will close the streets down. And you can kind of wander the streets and have a little holiday,
Have you ever been to Santa Con?
I have not been to Santa Con.
It's very fun. Very fun. And then big group of friends. Yeah. Just start walking around. It's a good time.
And I thought this one was kind of cool. I guess at the Schnitz, and they're going to do this Saturday for a couple shows and Sunday at the Schnitz Concert Hall there. They're going to do Elf in Concert, where they will play Elf, but all the music will actually be played by the Oregon Symphony.
That'll be sweet.
Yeah. So if you're looking for, kind of something fun to do, and then, of course, tomorrow, 4:30, Autzen Stadium, there are tickets available on the primary and the secondary ticket market. So if you're looking for something to do to escape kind of the flood blues and get into some holiday cheer, plenty of events going all around our wonderful city and the greater Pacific Northwest. We come back, let's talk a little college football, and then Joey Harrington will join us at 5:30 to preview Oregon James Madison. Coming up right here on 105.1 The Fan.
For over 40 years, Northwest Home
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This Sports Center update is brought to you by Mountaintop Metal Roofing. No maintenance, energy efficient, fire resistant, and a lifetime warranty. Do it once, do it right. Visit mountaintopmetalroofing.com. First on the Fan, the college football playoff is here as your Oregon Ducks will host the James Madison Dukes inside Autzen Stadium tomorrow at 4:30. The Ducks are 21.5-point favorites coming into Saturday's matchup, and make sure to tune in right here on the Fan for Ducks Game Day with Dirt Dusty and Anthony Newman at noon. Some more college football for you as we get the first game of the college football playoff kicking off tonight as the number 9 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide take on the number 8 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners come into this game as 1.5-point favorites. As kickoff is just moments away here, we'll make sure to keep you updated throughout the game. Seattle Seahawks mounted an impressive comeback in Thursday Night Football on their way to the number 1 spot in the NFC. Sam Darnold with an impressive game-winning overtime drive, capping it off with a touchdown to Jackson Smith-Njigba and converting the 2-point conversion to tight end Eric Saubert for the 38-37 victory over the Rams. Last but not least, the Blazers took down the Kings in an overtime brawl Thursday night. The final in that one was 134-133 as Denny Avia led the way for the Zers. He finished the game with 35. He knocked down the game-winning free throws as well after getting fouled with less than 2 seconds remaining. Both teams will travel down to Sacramento for another matchup tomorrow at 7 p.m. inside the Golden One Center. For more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Casey Smith from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of the Fan Happy Hour with Luke Anderson. Weekdays 2 to 3. The Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM. Primetime with
Welcome. Whoop. Boy, that caught me. What a weird edit. It felt like it was ending, and then we got Jimmy buffeted right there.
It felt like it kind of just re-looped twice in that one.
Right?
I don't know.
That was like when you're listening to November Rain, and you're like, November Rain's over. No, it's not. And it just comes roaring right back at you. All right, Jimmy. Rest in peace, by the way. Welcome in just after 5 o'clock, Football Friday. The college football playoff moments away from kicking off. We got Alabama, Oklahoma. And then tomorrow, we get Miami, Texas A&M. That's the 9 a.m. game, which actually, I think that if I had to pick one game that's the best game of the weekend, I think I'm going there. One, Kyle Field should be crazy, 100,000 plus people. Miami, Texas A&M, and I think that spread is A&M is favored by 3.5. I think Miami wins that thing outright. And then we got Tulane, Ole Miss at 12:30, and then to finish everything up, we got the nightcap, 4:30, James Madison versus your Oregon Ducks live from Autzen Stadium. So should be a nice little weekend of college football, and by the way, a nice week of NFL football as well. I mean, last night we had game of the year basically, Thursday Night Football. I mean, the two arguably the best record in the NFC, and it actually lived up to the hype. In fact, it was better than that. And we actually get some Saturday football. So tomorrow you got Eagles Commanders, and then going head to head with the Ducks and James Madison, as if this isn't bad enough that your game is probably the least exciting of those. You got Packers Bears going head to head with it. So my guess is
a divisional game has playoff intentions.
Well, yeah, I mean the winner of that is in the catbird seat in that division. So I mean that's a huge game with two huge brands. So I think from a national standpoint, something tells me that James Madison Oregon game is probably going to draw just maybe not the highest number.
Big first half, low second half.
I don't know if it'll be a big first half. I don't know. That's the one that I can't put my finger on.
What time does the Bears game kick off?
I think 5:20. So you get, yeah.
So big first half, bad second half.
Well, it's two of these games feel massive. Like, I've been sitting here for the last hour and a half just watching the pregame College Game Day at Norman, and it just looks incredible. The environment looks fantastic. It's just everything you could want in a college football game. And you know you're going to get that at Kyle Field with Texas A&M and Miami. I'm just not certain, and I don't know, and I could be totally wrong. They could be great environments down in Ole Miss, and it could be a great environment down in Eugene. Those are just two, they're weird games. It does feel like two completely different playoffs with the 4 games. Feels like two just have that, oh my God, coin flip, and then the two are kind of like, well, okay, let's move on. And I think both fan bases feel like that. And that goes back to the old, does James Madison and Tulane belong? Well, yeah, they belong, but it doesn't mean that maybe the interest is quite there. I mean, let's be honest. If we replace James Madison and Tulane with Texas and Vanderbilt, I think these games that we're talking about have a completely different feel. If Texas is coming tomorrow to play at Autzen and Vandy is going into Ole Miss to play, I think we're talking about this weekend completely different.
I think Vandy is the biggest Cinderella then, and you're looking at going, all right, this Pavia guy's got a chip on his shoulder. What can he do for us in a playoff?
Yeah. But I guess two things can be true. Would I rather see Texas and Vanderbilt in these two games? Yes. Is it anything that Tulane or James Madison did, or should we crap on them and because of that say that they don't belong? No. And I actually feel bad for Tulane and James Madison. And I think it would be awesome if one of them, Tulane, actually pulled an upset. Obviously, it would be devastating here if Oregon lost, and they're not going to lose to James Madison. They're just not.
At home, too?
It's not going to happen. Oregon doesn't lose at home. And when they do lose at home, it's not to James Madison.
It's to a Heisman.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Indiana's the number 1 team in the country, right? Like, Indiana did have a lot of James Madison players. Like, there was like 13 of them when they came on.
13 that entered the transfer portal.
But yeah, these are two completely different animals. So that's not going to happen. But what I don't want to see is 2 blowouts and then the inevitable, no one should ever let these guys sit at the table again. Because it's a dishonest argument. If Oklahoma gets blown out or Alabama gets blown out tonight, which, by the way, is entirely possible.
100% possible. They haven't run the ball well in the last few weeks.
Alabama has limped into this thing. I mean, they now, like 13 players they were down from the SEC title game. Going into that, they were down 13 players and they couldn't run the ball at all. Ty Simpson didn't look healthy. I mean, there was serious problems with Alabama. I think some of them are supposed to be back tonight. So maybe they look a little bit better. In fact, I think that's Jam Miller right there. So I think he's at least going to give it a go. But let's not act like when he's in the game, their run game's fantastic anyways. They have struggled to run the ball all year. But if either one of these teams gets blown out, it's not like we're going to say that they didn't belong. When Oregon got bludgeoned by Ohio State last year, no one said that Oregon didn't belong. So, I mean, blowouts happen. I mean, we mentioned it, last hour. Half of all of these college playoff games, and we've only had a small sample size, half of them have been blowouts. Teams get blown out. TCU got blown out in a national championship game. It doesn't mean that they don't belong. LSU took Clemson behind the woodshed in a national title game. It doesn't mean that you don't belong. So be careful saying that because a team ends up losing by double digits or whatever, that no team could possibly do it. There's upsets for a reason. And I just don't like that narrative that it's turned into this real negative thing that JMU and Tulane have to face. Because, again, it's not their fault. They did everything they were supposed to do. And it really should just be Tulane. If you want to blame someone for James Madison, blame the ACC. Blame the ACC for having stupid tie-breaking rules.
And for not having a real second contender that we could say deserved to be in the playoff.
Yes. But, like, even if this was Virginia or Duke that were coming, or SMU, would there be that much of a different feel at Autzen? Dead serious. If this is SMU coming to town, they would be 17-point underdogs as opposed to 21. And would we feel any differently about that?
No, we'd still be looking forward to Texas Tech.
Yes. It'd be a little bit better because, again, we'd say, it's a Power 5, and we would try to make the argument, Virginia, it's, But at the end of the day, the 11 and 12th place team, unless you're going to a true merit-based and you just put in what you think the best teams are, you're going to get these sorts of matchups. That's just the nature of the beast. of the college football playoff. Not every game is going to be an award winner. And by the way, this happens in the NFL. This happens in Major League Baseball. How many times in the NFL do we see a team that limps into the playoffs and you look at them? There is a team, namely the Carolina Panthers or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Someone's going to win that sorry-ass division and is going to host a playoff game. I want you to realize that there is a good chance that a 12 or a 13 win, a real chance that a 12 or a 13 win team from the NFC West is going to have to play a road playoff game.
A quarterback who consistently throws for less than 150 yards a game.
Yeah. This is just the nature of the beast. We don't always get the sexiest matchups in the world, but I'm happy it's here. Like I said, Bama and Oklahoma just has that feel, and I'm hoping at Autzen that we get that tomorrow. So let's take a look at the game and a couple other stories, and then Joey Harrington will join us at 5:30 to preview that James Madison game. Coming up right here on 105.1 The Fan. Welcome in, Joey Harrington coming up in just a few minutes. Oklahoma punts after picking up a first down or two. Mateer looking a little rough in the pocket. Yeah, isn't it weird at one point John Mateer was viewed as like the number one quarterback? Like in the country and potentially like a first round pick.
Reason? I think it's all just by look because
little rough. Well, it was like he was a gamer. He's like Johnny Football. He's out there running around. But boy, when Mateer isn't exactly
yeah, but Johnny
he's
Football
not exactly,
nearly ran for 2,000 yards.
Not exactly Fernando Mendoza out there. We'll see what Ty Simpson has, because Ty Simpson, when Simpson was playing well, Alabama was viewed as one of the best 3 or 4 teams in the country. And then the last month or so, I don't know what's happened to him. Maybe the run game gone away, but Ty Simpson has looked less than impressive. I did want to touch on this because I wasn't on the air yesterday with obviously the Seahawks and Rams, but Vancouver, Washington native Greg Biffle, who is a semifinalist for the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Really, really good NASCAR driver for 20 plus years. And by all accounts, a really, really good guy. Died tragically with his family in a horrible plane crash in North Carolina yesterday. Lost his son, his wife, his daughter, and himself, and then a couple crew members as well in a plane owned by Greg Biffle. And this was just kind of one of those things that it kind of brought back a lot of memories, and I didn't get a chance to say it yesterday. And with him being local, I know a lot of people knew Greg. I had a chance to MC. They did a Greg Biffle Day out in Camas. They honored him. Again, he's a Vancouver, Washington native. And I got to spend the day with Greg Biffle. And believe it or not, we ended up actually eating lunch at a mortuary of all places. It was such a surreal thing. Hand to God, we had Subway sandwiches at a mortuary in Camas. That was part of the Greg Biffle Day celebration. It was the weirdest thing. We got there in the morning. They were doing some like TV spots, and I got to interview him. And then we went to lunch. And then afterwards, they kind of had a parade, and they took us NASCAR through there. And hand to God, whoever put that thing together decided that for lunch we were going to eat at a mortuary, and they brought in Subway. And
with the side of formaldehyde?
Right? It was the weirdest thing. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, here's this guy worth millions of dollars. And this was like at his peak. I think this was right around the time he finished like second that year in NASCAR points, I think to Tony Stewart. And I was thinking to myself, dude, what are the chances that here's this guy that is like on top of his sport right now is going to lose his S because someone just brought him a Subway tuna sandwich that he's eating in the parlor at a mortuary. I'm like, what are we doing? And I will tell you, that is the nicest human being that I have ever come across. In the 25 years that I've been doing this stupid radio world media stuff, Greg Biffle might be the nicest, sweetest, most humble man that I've ever seen in my I got to spend the entire day with him. That guy could not have been more gracious. He could not have been more humble. And that plane that went down, he used that to fly humanitarian aid. Anytime there was a hurricane or floods out in that area, NASCAR is based out on the East Coast. So I guess he lived out there with his family in North Carolina. That guy was always organizing relief efforts. And they don't know if this was one of those cases or if this was just a kind of a pleasure sort of flight with him and his family and some friends. But I guess the plane took off and immediately there was a problem. They tried to turn around and land, and there were no survivors. But it's just kind of one of those things that broke my heart. I haven't thought about Greg Biffle in a long time, but anyone from this area kind of knows him, and he's just one of those guys that I never heard a bad word about. And I'll never forget spending that day with him, because I just don't think most people would put up with Subway sandwiches and mortuaries. And I even at one point like mentioned something to him, like just kind of like joking. I was like, I think I said something like, dude, aren't you like a NASCAR star? Can we get better accommodations? Like I made a joke, and he kind of laughed and he goes, nah, he goes, this is just small town America. And he was great about it. Shook every hand, took every photo. And it was kind of one of those, just a sad moment to see that. So thoughts and prayers out to the entire Biffle family. Anyone that knew him out here in this area, that was just one of those things that just ended up stinking. Also stinking, what is it with college coaches not being able to not sleep with employees and undergraduates? So I saw that the Ohio University coach, Brian Smith, who I guess coached at Washington State as well, so they dismissed him and they said they were firing him with cause, but they didn't say why. And I guess this story kind of went under the radar because it's not Sharon Moore. Like, that one was so scandalous. It was like, oh my God. But it turns out, because originally they said that he was fired because he was keeping alcohol in his office. And I was like, why would anyone get fired for keeping alcohol in the office? I guess he got fired because he was sleeping with an undergraduate student at a university hotel. And of course, he's saying that this was a consensual relationship and that his wife knew about it and they were in the process of being divorced. And he actually said that he was in a relationship with the undergraduate and his wife. So I'm kind of like, oh, this could be scandalous. But here's a guy again with basically $3 million in guaranteed money. And he's going to lose out on that simply because he couldn't not sleep with students. So
his attorney came out and said that he and the student had dated for about 4 months until early November, and that the student was not a part of the athletic department.
Let me just state for the record, if you are a college football coach, don't sleep with employees and don't sleep with students. It's not that hard. It's really not. I understand that you're on a university campus. Don't sleep with the poli-sci major. Just don't. You have millions of dollars guaranteed to you. Don't sleep with the students. Don't sleep with the faculty. Why is that so hard?
Do you think they are more concerned about the relationship with the student, or the drinking on the job?
My guess is this probably is a combination of things to where they thought that it's problematic behavior. It's the same thing it sounds like with Moore. They knew that this was an issue. And if you are, I guess he had been drinking at this hotel that's a university hotel, and that people saw him there. And so if you've got a coach that is drinking and is noticeably drunk at a hotel, and you know that he keeps alcohol in his office, and you also know that while he's still married, even if technically him and his wife have some sort of understanding, he's sleeping with students, I think as a university and athletic department, that's probably a sign that it's probably time to go, especially considering what happened with Moore at Michigan. This is probably one of those where like, hey, that's a state away. It's a series of poor judgments. But it's amazing to me the number of these idiot coaches that can't keep it in their pants. Like, of all the people at that university, that's where you decide to go. You're like, undergraduate. And you're like, well, she wasn't in the athletic department. And he's trying to pull well, technically there was nothing in the rule book that says that employees can't sleep with students. Don't do it.
You're 45 years old, man.
What are you doing? You're 45 and you're married and you're sleeping with a 20-year. Just don't do it. And you get $3 million. Finish your divorce. Okay. Then you can go on Tinder. You can go on Bumble, wherever you want. And sleep with a student that doesn't go. What's the college closest to Ohio? Isn't there a junior college somewhere? Do that. Sleep with a student that doesn't go to the university that's paying you $3 million. I just thought that that was interesting that one kind of slipped underneath the radar a little bit. And it just made me think of like the support group, the Bobby Petrino, the Sharon Moore, the Larry Eustace, and now this cat from Ohio. Just get together with a Mel Tucker. Think about the amount of money that has been thrown away by college coaches because they can't stop sleeping with students and or employees of the university that's paying them guaranteed millions of dollars. Just don't do it. Just stop. It's just local coaches. Gary Anderson could be included in that. Allegedly. We haven't had that. Although some say he just stepped away from Oregon State and gave away $12 million for the sake of just being a good guy, right? No questions asked. It's like, I'm going to resign now and I'm going to forfeit my guaranteed money.
Bye, guys.
Hey, coach, it's just feel like I can't coach anymore and I would just gladly give away this $12 million. Nothing to see here. Boy, Mateer.
That was a rough throw. He's having a really rough start. Because that's one of the first clean pockets he's had.
Every time
he sailed that thing.
Every time I look up, John Mateer is missing a wide open receiver by like 9 yards. At one point, the favorite for the Heisman Trophy. 0-0 Oklahoma, kind of on the move. We'll keep you updated on this game. But coming up next, Joey Hendren joins us for his two big segments. Here, though, is Casey with an update.
This is Primetime with Isaac and Suk. First round week of the college football playoff is brought to you by Video Only. Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Redtail Golf Center's holiday sale is going on right now with up to 50% off all your holiday golfing needs. Redtail Golf Center, where we guarantee the lowest holiday prices. Visit us at golfredtail.com. First on the Fan, the college football playoff is here as your Oregon Ducks will host the James Madison Dukes inside Autzen Stadium tomorrow at 4:30. The Ducks are 21.5-point favorites coming into Saturday's matchup, and make sure to catch all the coverage right here on the Fan. We got Ducks game day with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony kicking off at noon. Some more college football for you as we get the first round of the college football playoff this weekend. Kicking off tonight is the number 9 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide taking on number 8 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Sooners come into this game as 1.5-point favorites. This game is tied at 0-0 a little bit into the first quarter. We'll keep you updated with scores throughout the night. Seattle Seahawks got a win on Thursday Night Football, mounting an impressive comeback on their way to the number 1 spot in the NFC. Sam Darnold with an impressive game-winning overtime drive, capping it off with a touchdown to Smith-Njigba and converting the 2-point conversion to tight end Eric Saubert. The Seattle Seahawks went on to win 38-37. Last but not least, the Blazers took down the Kings in an overtime brawl Thursday night. The final in that one was 134-133. Both teams will travel down to Sacramento for one matchup tomorrow at 7 p.m. inside the Golden One Center. For more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Casey Smith from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for the Oregon Ducks, the Fan Sports Network.
He joins us each and every Friday, a little story time and football Friday. Dare I say the football Friday. This is the most important football Friday of the year for your Oregon Ducks. He joins us, Joseph Harrington. How's it going, buddy?
I thought you were going to actually start a Christmas Carol. It's the most
wonderful time.
Football Friday of the year.
Well, don't get me started on Christmas Carol. I love Christmas music. Now, I am not a Christmas music like in November guy, but you hit me December 1st. Dude, I got Christmas music going on 24/7 at my house right now. It just puts me in a good mood.
Well, actually, I hit you December 12th, and you said no, so you were out of commission.
Oh, I go deep. Like we were decorating the tree.
No,
what?
No.
No.
You were out of the office when I extended the invite to come sing Christmas carols at our house.
You do not understand the level of frustration that I have. I have been yearning.
You say you love Christmas carols. There is no better time to sing Christmas carols than with a flautist, a clarinet player from the Oregon Symphony, than somebody who sang on Broadway, somebody who sings off Broadway, my father-in-law who has a great singing voice and lives near Broadway. Like, that was the time to sing the Christmas carols, and a bass player from New Orleans and a percussionist on a box. I mean, let's be honest. All we needed was an offensive lineman, and our choir would have been complete.
Now, here
you said, I'm out of here.
I want to take umbrage with this because I've been trying to get the invite to the Harrington House for some time. And I would like to point out the 2 times the invitation has come. One, I was 3.5 hours away, getting screwed over by a dealership in Bellevue, which, by the way, Audi of Bellevue kick rocks. Worst dealership.
That's your fault because you didn't go to BMW Portland like I told you to.
I did go to BMW Portland after I got screwed
after
over.
the rock kicking.
Yes. BMW of Portland, phenomenal. Shout out those guys. Those guys are wonderful. And then the second time, I didn't even get the invite. The invite was passed on. I wasn't even here. I was not given
your own fault.
I was not given the option. I was at a holiday party with the missus. I'll tell you right now, it might have been a good thing that you didn't invite me, because if you had said that right there, something tells me I may have left her holiday party to come to the green couch. It would have been like a Ted situation where I tried to do both. Like I would have gotten her liquored up and then be like, honey, I'll be back in an hour, and then just disappeared.
Well, God, you were going to, that's what I was going to say. So to me, it's a little bit like, it's not my fault that you chose not to work that day.
I didn't know.
Right? It's not my fault. This is like, every college coach tells you, you need to prepare for the moment. Prepare for the moment, because you never know when it's going to come, right? You're sitting in the weight room and you think, you know what, I just don't want to do that set of cleans today because it's probably not gonna really matter. Or you're studying your game plan as a backup quarterback. It's like, I really don't want to do that, today. But you didn't know that the starter was going to get hurt, right?
No.
And so when you called in and said, you know what, 1080 the fan, 95.1 and 1080 the fan, apparently both now, is not good enough for me to show up to my weekly appointment, then you know what? You're not prepared to meet the moment.
I'll tell you right now, I am planning a year out in advance because, again, the Harrington household, I'm sure plenty of good drink and that cast of characters, and you throw in some Christmas music, that's meant for me. It's plus that all of that can hide the fact that I can't carry a tune, which means I can just sit in the back and belt it out, and it doesn't matter.
We played for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Did you play now? What kind of deep cuts did we play? Are we going Andy Williams all classics, or did we do some deep cuts?
Well, so it's kind of a mixed bag. I could grab the set list if you wanted.
I'm intrigued by where I take my Christmas music seriously. I mentioned we were decorating the tree, and so we actually do the real fire. I don't just do the Yule log. I get the fire going.
Okay.
And I break out my spiced eggnog. And then I don't just put on any Christmas list. I cultivate my Christmas list like my tree decorating music is a specific playlist that I put together, and I don't recycle. It's brand new every year. Some stuff doesn't make the list. Some stuff gets put in new, and I'm all over the map.
Okay, so you got to figure we had, a house full of minglers. So, you just start with a Christmas Time is Here is instrumental. Like, oh, hey, the singing started. And then, you come out pretty traditional in the first block of, oh, come all you faithful, hark the herald angels, angels we have heard on high, right?
Yeah.
And then you kind of start to work into like the more secular. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas and then Winter Wonderland. But then you start to rock into like a little jazz like Feliz Navidad. It's a 1-6-2-5, just chord progression, and then you start to get a little flute solo over the top of it, and then we rock to a Rudolph, but it wasn't the Jackson 5 Rudolph.
No.
It was more like it kind of had that funk to it, but it was bass led, right? And then you got to slow it down for the folks in the back, and we went to the soloist and a little Joni Mitchell River. And then we kind of, into the Do You Hear What I Hear, and then the White Christmas. Away in the Manger didn't quite hit this year, so that thing is going to get left. Then we rocked in with another soloist and some Sarah Bareilles, Love is Christmas.
Sarah Bareilles is wonderful, by the way.
Well, there you go. Some Christmas song, and then we start getting into like the bossa nova style with like a little "What Child Is This" and the "We Three Kings," and that's when like the percussionists and the bongos.
You're just turning the knife deeper. You're turning the knife deeper. That I wasn't. This is made for me. This is, and I will bring my signature eggnog to the party.
Well, you must love, because we're, like I said, we ended up going over 2 hours, and we're only on block 4, because then to start block 5 we had to go to the Chipmunk song, right? And for the people in the back who just want to scream, I still want a hula hoop, and then a little Frosty, some Santa Baby, get a little Sexy Christmas in there, and then what else? Oh yeah, then Carolyn did "What Are You Doing New Year's?" She's pretty good. And then you got to bring it home with the "I'll Be Home for Christmas" and "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." And then you get a "Oh Holy Night" in there.
Well,
and then
I'm hoping you capped it off, and because there's only one song at the end of an epic evening like this.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Oh, see, well. I'm because you the New Year's there, and because it's kind of ending here. I'd go Auld Lang Syne.
You can't do that till the 31st. That's like listening to Christmas music in November. You can't triple stamp a double stamp.
I can triple stamp a double stamp because it's
a year song.
That
is a one day.
No, because it's for times gone by, and what better way to honor all the people at your house?
Oh, you just got disinvited.
I'm not happy about this. Not happy about this one.
We're going to the break with an uninvited. We're going straight Alanis Morissette. You're uninvited.
And this is controversial here, but I will tell you, this is my favorite Christmas song because I have two categories, right? You have traditional and then the newer stuff, right? Because I think it's hard to mush those two things together. There's two very different categories. Again, I call it Andy Williams Christmas, and then if you wanted to do like a Mariah Carey Christmas, right? You got two polar opposites. So if we're going traditional, then it's the most wonderful time of the year. It gets me every time. I love it. And with a side touch of I'm a big Hark the Herald. Like that's 1A for me. You give me those two things, but when you hit with the Andy Williams, the most wonderful time of the year, I instantly start smiling. But my favorite modern Christmas song, and it's not a well-known one, and I don't know if you know this, but you have played with this band, so maybe you have, and it is
Does Traveler have a Christmas album?
It is they have a Christmas song. It was on what is it the A Very Special Christmas? They have like the 4 different albums of it.
Wait, are they the ones who did the Christmas with not Sarah McLachlan? No, that was Bare Naked Ladies. Who are you talking? They have a Christmas. What is it?
Yeah, so it's just called Christmas. It's Blues Traveler, and it's called Christmas, and it's my favorite modern Christmas song, and the messaging of it, like if you listen to it, there's a great line in there, and it gets me every time. And it says if it basically says if it's whatever Christmas is. He says if it's Hanukkah, if it's Kwanzaa, solstice harvest, or December 25th, Christmas can mean anything, and I mean to keep its hope forever near. It's like this all inclusive, whatever it means to you, right? It's about love, it's about hope, and it's my favorite modern Christmas song. And I mean, it's probably 20 years old because I think they did it when they were pretty big, but not many people have heard it. It wasn't like it was a single. It was just on one of those, like I said, a very Merry Christmas, or what is it? A very special Christmas for the charity thing. Do yourself a favor, though, and listen to the Blues Traveler Christmas song and tell me that it's not just, it's an amazing tune.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will do that.
So it's like
the only rule that we have at our place is no Wham.
Yeah, you can't, no one wants to sing that.
No.
But like Christmas music can bring everyone together. To me, it's the best. Well, it's Irish pub music and Christmas music are the two things that bring people together like nothing else. And when those things collide, you can get some really, really special moments. Last year, because we usually go somewhere for Christmas. So me and the family, we were up north. We rented a place in Vancouver. So it was Christmas Eve, and we were just bar hopping because my kids are all older. So we're literally bar hopping in downtown Vancouver, going to all these different places. And that's how we were going to ring in Christmas. So we're just going Christmas, and we're in this Christmas Eve, and we're in this Irish bar, and it's about 11:30, 11:45. So people are getting ready for, to turn midnight, and everyone's got Santa hats on. Everyone's had a good time. And there's a song called The Fairy Tales of New York. And it's an old Irish song, and it's the bells are ringing out on Christmas Day, and the entire bar, probably 150 people, this big, huge Irish bar, pin drops, everyone stops what they're doing, everyone stands up on their chair, and everyone belts this thing out. And my kids always say it's one of their favorite Christmas memories.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just it got popular. What was the movie? P.S. I Love You. Kind of made it popular, and it's a different kind of Christmas song, but it's an old Irish kind of tale. And like this, we'll never forget it. We'll never forget an entire bar getting together, and it got so good that they kind of turned down the music, and everyone in the bar just sung it together, like a national anthem style.
I don't think we can top that. I think we go straight to commercial.
See, if I was invited over, these are the sorts of things that we could incorporate.
Don't blame me for your lack of preparedness.
I know. I'm just kicking myself. It hurts. It just hurts knowing that I've blown a second opportunity. It's not gonna. Just next year, book me a seat on the couch because I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in hot with opinions.
All
right. And speaking of coming in hot, we do have kind of a big football game tomorrow. Actually, we have a big football game going on right now, but an even bigger one going on tomorrow. And since it's the most important football Friday and it's the most wonderful time of the year, we should probably get to that next.
That should be part of the discussion, because let's flesh this out.
All right, let's flesh this out. So we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll talk a little Ducks and Dukes when we come back right here on 105.1 The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Ducks athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
The kids are ready to lose their mind. A made free throw for Mia Jacobs, and the Ducks have 67. Got it!
What is happening? Oh, we're taking a timeout to celebrate it.
Timeout for the 6-7 celebration. I mean, the loudest cheer we've had all year.
And who knows?
Oregon 67, Portland 39.
There's a lot of perplexed fans in this gym right now, if you look around.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, this whole 6-7 thing. Now, I've mainly noticed this in women's basketball. So that was the Oregon women's team. It's stopping entire games. Like teams are running plays specifically to get to 67 points.
Oregon burned an extra media timeout.
I don't want to tell you, but apparently it's a big deal. So women's basketball scored 67 points in the face went nuts. This Ducks this Ducks report brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here, and apparently it's 6-7.
If you're
Friday, and we mentioned before the break, we got Oklahoma, Alabama going on right now, but tomorrow, 4:30, Autzen Stadium, the first ever college football game, home game, I should say, for your Oregon Ducks. And dare I say, it feels a little flat right now. I think that's maybe what you were alluding to.
Yeah.
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 Because, let's, okay, college football playoff.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
First ever. First ever at the stadium.
Yep. Why do I feel like this is Liberty Part 2?
Yeah. Well, have you seen like the empty seats?
That's exactly.
There's
And I'm not the
lots of
only
them.
one a lot.
Yeah.
And part of that is because the NCAA is trying to charge like $382 for it. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's
like,
spendy, man.
Let's take. There has to be some sort of, you're charging students.
Yeah.
You are at a time when the students are now out of school, right? You are dealing with a fan base where over a third of the people at the stadium travel over an hour and a half to get to the game.
Yeah.
Right. So you are the weekend of before Christmas, in the middle of an atmospheric river.
Yeah. When
the students are out. And it's not like you sent Alabama or Notre Dame to come play at Autzen, right? There has to be some sort of like awareness. Oh boy, I'm on it. Okay, so here's the thing, and here's kind of why I'm going around in circles on this. I'm not nervous, but I'm very nervous. But I'm not very nervous. I'm only kind of nervous. But I'm not really kind of nervous because I'm really confident.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as much as you look at this and say Oregon's a 3-touchdown favorite, they should win by they should win by 1 million. This one's going to be over. That's what Michigan thought against Appalachian State. And fine, we want to talk about first game of the year, fine. That's what Oklahoma thought against Boise State.
Yeah.
And does it happen often? No, it doesn't. But it happens frequently enough, and I will say more so in the NCAA basketball tournament. But nobody wants to be Virginia.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to be the number 1 seed that gets beat by a 16, because you know what? You say the name Appalachian State, and everybody in the football world knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Is it going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. Of course it's not. That happens once in a blue moon. So what's more likely going to happen is we're going to play like we did against Liberty, and that game is going to be over by about 7 minutes into the second quarter. And then we're going to be sitting there and not really even pay attention. And the people in the stands are going to be thinking, well, why did I drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to get here? Just to leave at halftime. But then if that's not what happens and it's a close game, what has happened now is all those James Madison fans have filled up those empty seats. And so now you've got a third quarter coming out of halftime with a purple stadium. In a purple stadium with a motivated team of James Madison that you don't want to be Boise State. Like this is the circuit, but then you say there's no way that's going to happen because we have 173 times better talent than they do. They haven't sniffed a 5-star ever, not that we have, but this is the colossal. This is bigger than the Liberty Oregon game. This is a David and Goliath type matchup. And so I don't know where to stand. I don't know what to think. I know what should happen. I know what I don't want to happen, and now you've just got me all fired up and
so looking here, this is just from a talent standpoint, right? So Oregon has 6 5-star kids, James Madison has 0. Oregon has 52 4-star kids, James Madison has 3. There's 51 other players on the Ducks roster that were below that, and most of those being walk-ons. James Madison has 109. So from a talent standpoint, this is quite.
I saw that stat. I saw that and the best comment that went along with it was, well, thank you for highlighting Oregon's inability to recruit other players.
Yes,
that's where their deficiency lies.
Yeah.
It's like,
we had Landing on earlier. I talked to him at 4 today. We because yesterday we were off for the Seahawks game, and so we got him on today. And I wasn't gonna say anything, but he kind of brought up the home environment and how he was excited, and a national audience getting to see the crowd at Autzen, and all that, and obviously he was pumping it up, and I certainly wasn't going to be the one to be like, yeah, there's actually some worry there, and he knows, he has to know. I think he's just being positive, but it does have a weird feel that if I would have told you 5 years ago that Oregon was going to be the number 5 team in the country, and there's a true playoff, that because at the time that didn't exist, a true 12-team playoff, and you were going to get to host a first-round game, I would have told you, I think everyone would have said that environment will be the best environment in college football. I think Ohio State, Oregon. And instead, and this was a couple days ago. I don't know if it's gotten any better, if it's gotten any worse, but we looked this up. I think this was on Tuesday or Wednesday. It was Tuesday. We looked up a 20th row between the 40s, right? So best seat in the house, right? About 20 rows up, best seat in the house. The Tulane Ole Miss one, which was a 40-point blowout, they've already played. That was going for about 900. The Texas A&M one was going for almost $2,000. You could buy a pair of those seats at Autzen for under $200 a pop.
Well, Suk, I just saw excuse me, a graphic, and I don't know if this was a resale thing, or if this was just I mean, I have to imagine that it's actual still availability.
Yeah,
there were entire rows.
Yeah, those are still available. Those aren't resale. Those are available. You can buy them at face value.
Literally an entire row at Autzen.
But can you?
And it's not just one; it's multiple.
Okay, well, I'll ask you then.
And we're not talking like top row. Like this is halfway. This is 2/3 of the way up.
Well, I'm asking the question then, and dead serious. Like, do you blame? Like, can you put blame and say we should be better than this as a fan base, or do you understand? Hey, we heard from a bunch of people that said, I've already got my airfare and my hotel set for Texas, for Texas Tech. We're going to East Coast because that's what Miami. We're going to the Orange Bowl. They've already set, and they're just like, it's a cost thing. I don't want to spend the money.
I can understand that. I can less understand that argument going to Autzen, right? It's not like you're getting a hotel to go to Autzen, and they're like we just said, like tickets are dirt cheap comparatively speaking.
Yes,
it's
the best value in the playoffs right now.
Exactly. However, for me, it's like what I can understand is I have to imagine. I was talking to somebody yesterday. They're like, "Oh my God." It's the start of something every single night until Christmas, right? All right, we have Timmy's on the 19th, and then we're going over to Souk on the 20th, and then we got family coming here on the 21st, and then we've got this on the right. And so this is a time of year which is generally spoken for.
Yeah.
And so there is and now, again, if they're playing Alabama,
this is different.
And you as a fan say, "Man, I got to be there."
Yeah.
But you throw in the fact that we're playing a team that we have recent experience. I honestly think I think there would be a few more people going had we not played Liberty a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have that very tangible experience of this is what happens when we play a team like that.
Sure.
So you combine that with this game happening 4 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
And the majority of fans have to travel to get there. It makes it a really tough ask.
Yeah. No, I mean, we get, obviously being the home of the Ducks, we get tickets, and my gal, the missus, went to Oregon. She's a Duck, and it was never brought up. I mean, she can go to whatever, a couple times a year. She's like, "Hey, do you want to go down, or can you give me tickets for me and my friends?" She's obviously got friends from down there, and it was not asked one time about this. And I promise you, had it been Alabama and Notre Dame, that ask would have come 100%.
Well, I mean, my brother asked. He's like, "Hey, when you get the email about the tickets, from being on the Duck Athletic Fund and that whole thing, you get access.
Yeah.
Will you let me know?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, hey, coming up. Here's when the 10 o'clock on whatever day."
Yeah.
And he's like, "God, I want to. I don't know if I can. We have this holiday party that we go to every year, and it's conflict. I'm torn.
Yeah. It's a weird spot, but it also does say something, because no one can doubt the environment down there. If you've ever been to a big game there, I was fortunate enough back-to-back years to see Oregon at UW and then Oregon, Ohio State. Two of the top 10 environments I've ever been in. Were insane. Like, if you went to one of those games, you'd walk away being a college football fan. You'd be like, okay, I get it. So no one can question the environment that's there. But I do think it's fair to say that there is a different perspective up here, because again, I bring up Ole Miss and Tulane. Ole Miss beat Tulane already this year they bludgeoned them. They beat them by 40 points. And Ole Miss isn't having this problem right now. So I do think that all of those things play into it, but I do think that there is a little different sensibility out here on the West Coast. I don't think it's quite as, and by the way, I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's negative at all. I just think we have a better perspective on things. I just think the idea of someone down in Mississippi or Alabama, I think they'd miss their kid's wedding to go to a playoff game regardless of who it is. And I don't think we do that up here. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
I'm tempering my response, or I'm thinking through my response, trying to figure out what the blowback would be if I say one thing or if I say the other. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It's one thing that I noticed very quickly. Going from Oregon to Michigan, to Florida, to Georgia, to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like those are the places that I played football in.
It's different, huh?
And it is good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
It is just different.
Yeah. And people can take that however they want. I personally view it as a positive. Now, if you're from there, you'll look at us up out here and people can get very critical. And I don't know, you call that, because down there they'll call it passionate. I say it's psychotic. You call it, it's like we all have different terms for what it is. I call it up here, I call it perspective. And down there they would say fair weather. And so it's what end of the lens you want to look at it through. But I just think the West Coast is different than a lot of those places. I just think we have other things going on, and some of those places down there don't.
And that is the point where I hold my tongue.
Yes, it is for
on that note.
Well, but at least the game, like, I'm with you. I am not worried. I've said along. I actually went back and I tried watching some James Madison. I watched the Louisville game and I watched Georgia State. I watched the games in which they struggled, and I was like, dude, Oregon will beat this team by 40. And then I thought that was kind of unfair because, of course, I'm cherry picking a couple of the games where they didn't look very good. So then I went back and I watched the Sun Belt Championship. I watched one against Old Dominion, and you can watch them in condensed form. You can watch these games in like 20 minutes. Yeah. And I will say that the JMU defense actually looks pretty good. I think offensively, I think Oregon's going to hold them to 10 points. I think their quarterback's in for a long day, and I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. But from a defensive standpoint, I could see James Madison causing some problems. And it's just going to be one of those. I just think the only way this goes down is if Oregon shoots themselves in the foot, 10 times. It's just one of those, and it was just nothing is going right. But I just don't see how the talent gap here gets bridged for James Madison. I just don't.
All right. What are the two areas when a high-powered team or a top 10 team plays a lower level team? What are the two areas where you see the biggest difference?
Line of scrimmage.
Line of scrimmage, number one. And the biggest, and so everybody can find somebody who's 300 pounds.
Yep.
But to find somebody who's 300 pounds who can explode,
it doesn't,
and who has a quickness, that's where's the other area?
I always thought depth for me was always the big one too.
Okay, I'm talking about that makes sense, but just on the field, like watching something on the field, where is the biggest difference?
Be interested where you want where you go with that, because
I'm going wide receiver, DB. I'm going.
The true
There's
athletes.
no way that the James Madison defensive backs will be able to stay. And this is my point. DeCorian Moore was practicing.
Yeah, well, he put on his Instagram. He literally said on Instagram, he just put one and said back. So I'm assuming that means he's playing.
Gary Bryant, so if we have our skill position wide receiver, if we have our guys out there, no, you can't. You can't hang with that type of explosive speed, and you can't hang with that type of explosive power. And those are the areas where, if it doesn't happen, where you can find yourself in a dogfight at the end.
Yeah, and I get it. Like basketball, we always you can scheme stuff up, and it just in football, these things don't happen that often simply because of just like you said. There's just athletes make football players, and and everyone wants to believe in the Rudy and the little kid that, gets it done. But at the end of the day, bigger, stronger, faster wins 95% of the time. And I'm telling you, when you watch JMU's O-line, and it's a fun offense, very RPO heavy, and they don't really throw it. They can't really throw it downfield. much at all. Their offensive line is in
They
for
haven't mastered the forward pass yet, is what you're saying?
No, and when you watch the SMU game, or not SMU, excuse me, the Louisville game, their O line is in for some problems against the Oregon D.
Yes, and yes.
Yeah.
And if I said Statue of Liberty,
yeah, that's Boise State, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah.
So now, I'm not going back into my cycle, but yes.
Yeah, it can, but I feel very, very comfortable, as I think most Duck fans do. So hopefully it's not too stressful. And then we're talking, well, not next week, because next week we'll be singing Christmas carols on Christmas. But then after that, hopefully a matchup with Texas Tech, which I think is what everyone is kind of waiting for. I think the Ducks will be well represented if they play Texas Tech. How about that?
I would agree. I would agree with that.
All right. Well, this will be our last time we talk before Christmas. So I just want to say it is the most wonderful time of the year. I absolutely love Christmas, and I'm a big believer of telling people what you feel. So I absolutely thoroughly enjoy having you on this program every week. We love having you around, and I wish you and your family and everyone around you in your sphere a very Merry Christmas, or however you celebrate the holidays. We absolutely love you, man, and we hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and can't wait to talk in the new year. I guess maybe a little bit before that, and talk some more football.
I feel the same way, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Well, go enjoy, hopefully a cold glass of something, and watch a little Alabama, Oklahoma.
On my way to do it.
Okay. We'll talk to you down the road. Joey's appearances each and every week by Mods PDX. The future of building is now. The Club coming up next, right here on 105.1 The Fan.
Odyssey Sports Station. Now, Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, the college football playoff is here as your Oregon Ducks will host the James Madison Dukes inside Autzen Stadium tomorrow at 4:30. The Ducks are 21.5-point favorites coming into Saturday's matchup, and make sure to tune in right here on the Fan for your Ducks game day with Dirt Dusty and Anthony Newman at noon. Some more college football for you as we get the first game of the college football playoff kicking off tonight as the number 9 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide take on the number 8 Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners come into the game as 1.5-point favorites, and John Mateer and the Sooners got themselves rolling. They currently lead 17-7. The Seattle Seahawks mounted an impressive comeback in Thursday Night Football on their way to the number 1 spot in the NFC. Sam Darnold with an impressive game-winning overtime drive. They got the victory 38-37 in overtime over the Rams. Last but not least, the Blazers took down the Kings in an overtime brawl Thursday night. The final in that one was 134-133. Danny Avdija with game-winning free throws after getting fouled with less than 2 seconds remaining. Both teams will travel down to Sacramento for one more matchup tomorrow at 7 p.m. inside the Golden One Center. For more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Casey Smith from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
Recruiting with Andrew Nemec, Thursday evenings at 7 after Isaac and Sue.
Well, there's a second time that has got me. Normally we fill
Long
those
intros.
Well, normally we fill those with drops, and I thought that you had cut off the intro. This is where working together for the first time. They do that long kind of pause there, and that's normally filled with
That's
random.
where Rob drops all the hot
That's
beats.
where Rob drops all the. So I just thought you had truncated. So that long pause. No, it was not truncated. I was just trying to. I was like, all right, Case, cut it off.
There's something missing from this intro.
I just thought maybe you had cut it off a little early, and I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, oh, we'll just flow into it. But this is, young lowercase there. We're kind of easing our way into this.
Rolling with the punches today.
Hey, it's we're the only two people in the building right now, so we're kind of easing our way into it. Much like Alabama was easing their way into this game. Like I said, we'll do a short segment here. We'll kind of get back on track. I've got hot penny news. I've got Erie Morgue, which is why, by the way, you should never trust anyone that owns a morgue or like a mortuary. Disturbing stuff. So
you spent a lot of time in morgues and mortuaries, haven't you?
Well, I did eat lunch with Greg Biffle, the late great Greg Biffle, who was such a nice guy. I did eat lunch at a mortuary. So yes, I have spent a several hours inside of one, and that's not where you want to be. I just don't trust people. Like, if that's where you choose to go into business, I find that lends itself to a certain sort of person.
Profiting off of death is a certain type of...
Well, wait till you hear about this story. And also, by the way, I did look it up. You can get into the Ducks game right now for about $60. That's Ticketmaster, by the way. That's not secondary. You can go to Ticketmaster right now, and you can get a Section 1, row 47, $64. right now, all included.
It's not a bad scene at all.
No, just saying. Alabama, by the way, was getting shillelagh. They were getting blown out. They were down 17-0 to Oklahoma. And then they actually put together a drive. It's now 17-7 with about 4 minutes to play in the first half. We'll see if maybe they can get Oklahoma off the field here and actually try to make a game of this. Because believe it or not, even though they were up 17-0, John Mateer cannot throw the football. All right, so let's get back on track. When we come back, I've got Penny news, I've got mortuary news, and I guess there is a Jake Paul fight tonight too. I don't know if anyone's paying any attention to that, but we kind of got a decent little sports weekend going on here. Some NFL stuff, obviously the college football, and there is that boxing match. But, we digress. We'll get into hot mortuary and penny talk when we come back here on The Club. Back in it. Oklahoma had a turnover, held Alabama to a field goal after Alabama got on about, the 20-yard line. So 17-10 right now, Oklahoma. But got a little bit of a game, so maybe we actually get a good one tonight. That's what I'm going to go home and watch. The boxing thing, I might keep an eye on that. But the idea, so Jake Paul, the influencer turned boxer or whatever, so he's fighting a Olympic gold medalist and former two-time world champion Anthony Joshua, who, by the way, is like 4 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier than him.
I wonder what his price was to lose.
Well, I saw today that they were saying that the sports books, if Jake Paul, and by the way, he's a massive underdog because, well, he's not a real boxer. He's gotten better, but he's literally fighting a former world champion and Olympic gold medalist. They're saying that they cannot take a single bet on Joshua. They said if Paul somehow wins this, it will cost the sports books over $100 million. And it says something that people are only betting on Jake Paul. It's the idea that people know so very little about this sport that they're willing to take someone that beats up a 58-year-old man and old washed-up MMA fighters and think that they are going to beat a giant human being. I know people that are literally talking to me like, dude, I think he's going to do it. It's just, it's amazing to me, the level of belief that people have in fairy tales. I mean, this isn't James Madison beating Oregon. This is something entirely different. This is like a high school team beating the University of Oregon. That's what you have tonight.
Again, Anthony Joshua is a gold medalist.
He won the gold medal.
Heavyweight champion.
Two-time heavyweight champion. And he's like 6'5", and he's 245 pounds.
Jake Paul's last fight against a boxer of his age.
He's only fought one boxer.
Was Tommy Fury, and it didn't go well. It was not a good fight.
So you got some stuff to watch tonight if you head home. All right, back to my morgue news. Like I said, I understand that the mortuary business, it's a good business. I actually played with a guy in Denver. He was a third-round pick. I think he went to Mississippi State. He's a nice guy. And he's a defensive lineman, and he took his signing bonus and he bought a mortuary. That's what, and I was like, what? And he said that growing up, it was like either it was his grandfather, someone he knew. I don't remember if it was a family member, if it was a family friend. He said they had a mortuary. And he said that the person always told him, buy a mortuary. He goes, it runs itself, and it will always make you money. And he just said that's it's the weirdest, because it's not like when you're a third-round pick, you're not making millions upon millions of dollars, but it was a sizable couple $100,000, right, for a signing bonus. I don't think it was $1 million, but several $100,000. And most of those guys would go out. A lot of guys that get that money, they buy jewelry, they buy a car, whatever. My guy bought a mortuary. And I just thought that was the strangest thing. And he seemed like a nice enough guy, but immediately I was like, there's too much shady stuff. Of all the business you get into, the idea that you want to be around dead people.
Yeah, death and a lot of chemicals.
Yeah. So apparently the Harvard Medical School has their own mortuary, which makes sense because obviously, medical research and all that. So all those medical schools, when I was at BYU, we had a cadaver lab. Like if you're going to be pre-med or whatever, you take anatomy 100 or 200, you get to go into the lab and get your own little body. Well, apparently a manager of the Harvard Medical School's morgue in Boston was sentenced to 8 years in prison. For years, they had been selling body parts as if they were trinkets. Authorities said Cedric Lodge was at the center of a ghoulish scheme in which he shipped brains, skin, hands, and faces to buyers in Pennsylvania and elsewhere after cadavers donated to Harvard were no longer needed for research. Yeah, faces. I want to know more details on this because it said his wife, Denise, was also sentenced to just over a year in prison for assisting him. They appeared in court in Pennsylvania.
She got off. That's a good deal for her.
They did say, by the way, that they felt bad about it. But it said in one example, Cedric Lodge provided skin to a buyer so it could be tanned into leather and bound into a book.
Human skin is
someone in Pennsylvania has a book that's made of human skin. I would like to know what sort of book you want human skin. What is I need to know what that book contains.
It's got to be a memoir of some type.
Is that a photo album? Is that a photo album of some sort? The U.S. attorney said that it was deeply horrifying. It was a deeply horrifying reality.
They sold people's faces.
In another, Cedric and Denise Lodge did sell a man's face, perhaps to be kept on a shelf, perhaps to be used as something even more disturbing, said Martin. She said Lodge, 58, of New Hampshire, treated the parts of beloved human beings as if they were trinkets to be sold off for profit and collected hundreds of thousands of dollars from 2018 through March of 2020. After Harvard finishes donating a body for research and teaching, the body typically is returned to the family or cremated. Lodge acknowledged that removing body parts before cremation, he acknowledged the seriousness of the conduct and the harm to his actions have inflicted on both the deceased persons whose bodies have callously been degraded and their grieving families, and he says that he's deeply sorry for his actions. My man was selling people's faces. So I ask you, which is the most disturbing part? Selling the skin for a book, selling a face for God knows what, or the fact that he was selling people's hands?
His client list is disgusting.
Also, how do you go about finding people that want a face?
You're in the business, you probably already have a few shady characters that hang around.
Do people call mortuaries?
You can't call and leave that evidence.
Well, I'm just I'm being dead serious on this. So I've got a book, and I want to make a leather cover for it, and I'm like, deerskin just isn't gonna do. You know what I'd really like for this? Like some human skin.
Doesn't stretch like it should.
I need some back fat. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, where do I find back fat? Where do I find human skin? Or God knows what I want that face for. By the way, when I found out that you could sell an entire face, I immediately went to Silence of the Lamb, where he cuts the dude's face off, and you know that dude's making a mask. You know that someone out there, someone has a human face mask. 100%. You know that that's what's going down. So again, I ask, you want that, how do you broach the subject? And is that the weirdest thing that you could ask for? Like, of all the things that you could casually bring up to someone, you're like, so here you're in the mortuary business. What do you say about maybe give me a face or two? And if so, what is
or
that?
Two?
I don't know. Well, you get one. I mean, maybe you get bored of the one mask. Maybe it's like a role play thing. Maybe you want one for your partner.
Need
I don't
different
know.
characters?
I'm just asking. I don't know how you broach that subject. You can't go on Facebook Marketplace for that. You can't put that on Craigslist. And yet this person made hundreds of thousands of dollars selling body parts. Somehow, people in Western Pennsylvania are clamoring for this. And by the way, it says something about the Midwest, because that's like the Midwest. The Midwest is like serial killer capital. That's like Ed Gein, Wisconsin, and Dennis Rader, that whole area over there. I don't know what it is about those cold Midwestern winters, or there's nothing to do, but I'm telling you, it leads to some weird S. This is Harvard. If this is going on at Harvard, I'm guessing that's the nicest morgue in the country. It's at Harvard. What the hell is going on at Wichita State? I kind of want to call up a morgue and casually just see if I can
Let's call up JMU.
Well, I don't know. I just want to see if I can casually broker that. You're just seriously though, I'm assuming it goes something like that. You're just chewing the fat, you show up at the morgue. You're like, yeah, man, I just thought I'd maybe come down and think about getting into the business myself. Always been interested in bodies. And, I was talking to my buddy the other day and I said, it'd be wild if I had a lamp made of a human face. And he was like, oh my God, you're crazy. And I was like, yeah, that's so crazy. You could never. But seriously, you ever heard of anything like that? Do you just
straight Norman Bates?
Is that how you bring it up? You're just but seriously, have you ever heard of something like that? Oh, you have. Or maybe you bring up this story. Hey, did you hear about those guys over at Harvard? Turns out that dude was selling faces. Isn't that nuts? I wouldn't even know how you go about that, would you? Maybe you put $100, as you say that, and you're you just kind of slide it across. And what does a human face go for? I got questions. Apparently you can't do this. But that's just, I just can't believe that someone out there, because if that dude's made hundreds of thousands of dollars, there's a lot of body parts out there. So somewhere around the Midwest part of this country, just be aware when you walk into someone's house, some strange stuff's going down.
There could be someone's face sitting on a shelf.
What would you do if you walked in and that's got to be that's not on
Leave.
display. Like that's like a separate room, right? That's like a basement.
It has to be a den of some sort. You can't put that on the main floor.
I think that's basement stuff, right? You can't put that in the den. You got to go down. That's stairs. Stairs are involved, right? You can't you got to descend.
Yeah, there's got to be a lock on that door too.
Yeah. I mean, just the idea of you're going over to meet your girlfriend's parents, for the first time. You're a young whipper. Oh my God, John Mateer. Alabama does not want to win this game, but neither does John Mateer. I'm serious. I don't know where he was. I don't know where he was going with this ball.
What is he doing?
Seriously, where was that?
You're staring right at him.
Boy, that is a Tony Romo-esque pick six, and we got our.
The second he released it, he was running him down.
Dude, we got ourselves a tie ball game here. Boy, being an Oklahoma fan, dude, that is a roller coaster of emotion. Because anytime John Mateer's running with the ball, you're like, hell yeah. But every time he goes to throw it, you're just like, oh no. I don't know which is more horrifying. John Mateer throwing the ball 30 times or as I mentioned, you go over to meet your girlfriend's dad and he invites you down into the basement. He's like, Casey, come on down. Let's have a chat about the daughter. And then you just look behind him. He's got he's opening the photo album. And you're like, that's an interesting photo album. Human skin, leather bound, and then behind you, face or two. Because you would assume that they're fake, right? You'd assume he's just into horror
You would
movies.
have to. Your mind wouldn't tell you that they're real right off rip.
If it's in Pennsylvania or Massachusetts, be aware. How much would you pay for 3 cents?
Of faces?
No, just 3 cents. How much would you pay for 3 cents? Because you might be surprised at what someone paid for 3 cents. And by the way, not old cents. No, 3 brand new cents. Wait till you hear this. People have too much money and too much time. I think I'd almost rather buy a face at this price. The club rolls on when we come back.
This is Primetime with Isaac and Suk. First round week of the college football playoff is brought to you by Video Only. Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, the college football playoff is here as your Oregon Ducks will host the James Madison Dukes inside Autzen Stadium tomorrow at 4:30. The Ducks are 21.5-point favorites coming into Saturday's matchup, and make sure to tune in right here on the Fan for Ducks Game Day with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony at noon. Some more college football for you as we get the first game of the college football playoff kicking off as the number 9 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide take on the number 8 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. That game is currently tied at 17 as John Mateer just threw a pick six. Oklahoma got out to a 17-0 lead, worked themselves back. Tie game now. Seattle Seahawks mounted an impressive comeback in Thursday Night Football on their way to the number 1 spot in the NFC. Sam Darnold with an impressive game-winning overtime drive, capping it off with the touchdown to Jackson Smith and Njigba and converting the 2-point conversion to tight end Eric Sauber. Seahawks got the victory 38-37 in overtime. Last but not least, the Blazers took down the Kings in an overtime brawl Thursday night. The final in that one was 134-133 as Denny Avia led the way for the Blazers. He finished the game with 35 and knocked down the game-winning free throws after getting fouled with less than 2 seconds remaining. Both teams will travel down to Sacramento tomorrow for another matchup at 7 p.m. inside the Golden One Center. For more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Casey Smith from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
Your home for Seahawks football. The Fans
the half. We got a good one in Norman. Looked like we were going to get a blowout. Alabama looked like absolute dog-ass coming out, like no offense whatsoever.
Second quarter.
Yeah, they looked terrible. Oklahoma jumps all over them 17-0, and then, well, John Mateer doing John Mateer things. We had a turnover. We had a pick six.
A blocked punt?
We had a blocked punt, and then the pick six, and here we are, 17-7. There, by the way, it's lucky it's 17-17. So Alabama blocked that punt. They had the ball like on the 20-yard line, and then proceeded to go backwards with it, but ended up kicking a field goal. The penny's going away. This is where I'm fascinated when we put value on specific things. Because you would think a penny is a penny, 3 cents. And you can get into that, I'm not a coin collector, but, certain rare coins or stamps are worth, this or that. But it's always fascinating when something that seemingly is worthless. In fact, the penny is going away because it's deemed worthless. It now costs more to make a penny than 1 cent. So we just stopped them completely. And there's a lot of places now, like if you go to certain restaurants or whatever, like fast food, they'll put up a sign saying, sorry, we don't take and we're not giving out pennies. So they'll round up or round down. I'm assuming they round
to the 5?
I would assume.
Probably.
And I don't know.
They're still taking nickels?
Yeah. Yeah, nickels are fine.
Okay.
Well, no one pays with cash anymore anyways. I also find it weird now that everyone always asks if I want to round up for charity. Quit asking me that. No, I'm already paying $17.50 for some chicken and rice.
Assume it's no.
Yeah, just don't do that. Put a little sign on there. Everywhere you go now, would you like to round up? First of all, I don't know where that's going. I don't know what charity. It could be going in your pocket for all I know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. It's bad enough we get that tip screen that flips around all the time no matter what. Now I have to be shamed if do you want to donate or do you want to donate to kids? I'm going to need a little more information than that. No. I'm going to keep my 13.
What are these kids getting?
I'm going to keep my 13 cents. But yeah, so the penny's going away. But I guess the U.S. Mint, by the way, kudos to the U.S. Mint for figuring this out. Not in the grand scheme of things, this matters because the government, this amount of money is absolutely nothing. But the U.S. Mint sold the last 232 3-cent. So I guess that's not true. So it's basically almost 700 pennies. It's about $7 worth of pennies. So they took 232 sets of 3 pennies. I don't know why they did 3 at a time, but they offered the last 232 pennies ever printed. These would be the last pennies ever. And they sold them in 3 sets. You couldn't buy 1, you had to buy 3.
How much they sell them for?
So the total of this, so again, it's about $7 worth of pennies. Just a little shy of $7. They sold them for almost $17 million. So they had an auction and people paid $16.76 million for 232. And it wasn't just one person, right? This was, you could buy as many as you want, but they all went up to auction. The most expensive being, so the 232nd, so the last 3 pennies ever made. Someone now owns the last 3 pennies that will ever be printed. And they bought those 3 cents for $800,000. Someone spent $800,000 on 3 pennies.
I hope you lose it. I hope they lose it. It's lost in a jean pocket forever.
Yeah, this is a guy. He's the director of the Numismatic America at Stack's Bowers. I have no idea what that is. I'm assuming it's who auctioned this off. And it says it's the kind of auction where you don't know the item's market value until people make their bids. I guess they had no idea what this would go for, but someone at the Treasury was like, I don't know, let's offer these up. And
just a bunch of blind rich people throwing money.
Like I said, I've been going to coin auctions for 40 years, and I can tell you I've never seen anything like this because there's never been anything like this. There's never been the end of a coin. It's never happened. Yeah, so I guess the Stack Bowers, I guess they're the ones that, I guess it's if you want to buy coins, this is the place to go. So the penny was introduced in 1793, and now in 2025, these will be the last ever struck. And some dude is sitting there now, and it comes in a nice little case. You have a little case on there, and it's just, there's nothing special about them. It's just 3 pennies. But this guy apparently can claim that he has the last 3 pennies on Earth, and he spent $800,000. I want, will those ever Like, eventually, is this going to be one of those like years from now where these things are worth like $20 million?
It's going to become buried treasure where someone's going to have all 232 in a chest, and it's just going to be a pirate brigade.
I'm just fascinated by that. Like, it's worth 3 cents until someone says it's worth $800,000.
Until we deem it as else.
Yeah, that always fascinates me. Sports memorabilia is like this, art's like this, but just the idea. But you would think like with coins, I don't know, and they're not. I guess they are kind of rare, but it's not. It's just
there's 3 cents.
It's 3 cents. It's 3 cents that was printed now. I get something that was printed back in 17 whatever, but there's no difference between this penny and any other penny other than, I guess it happened to come off the printing press last.
I guess I'm holding on to a couple of my pennies.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if your penny, because I did wonder that when the penny was going away. Do you have any pennies that are worth anything? I mean, I have a big change. I bet you have a thing that's I don't know. It's like over the years, it's like a big mason jar. It's just full of change. I have no idea. There's probably $50 in that thing. I never do anything with it. It just sits there. I should probably go take it in one of those.
It's gonna sit and just stack up more.
Yeah, is that ever worth it? Is there a penny in there somewhere I do not know what makes coins rare, but $17 million people ponied up for $7 worth of pennies. All right, we come back. We'll put a bow on this and get you ready for the weekend. A nice weekend of college football, including your Oregon Ducks tomorrow at 4:30. Coverage starts right here on The Fan at noon. The club finishes up when we come back. 105.1 The Fan.
The Fan.
From here. Well, Rob doesn't, but I do. Winding down here just a couple more minutes. Go home, watch a little Alabama, Oklahoma in the second half. Fired up some wings. Going to order that. Got a nice little evening. And I probably will check in on the boxing match a little bit. I don't want to because I don't want to give credence to this buffoon. But I will admit, like, it's free. I would never pay for it, but it's on Netflix.
I'm going to watch it.
I'll flip over and check it out. Just simply because it's the idea of, can some dude who is the definition of an amateur finally step into the ring? And people think this is happening. Like, the betting public is overwhelmingly on Jake Paul. Here's a guy who has literally never fought a professional boxer anywhere near prime or his age or size, and he's now fighting someone bigger that's still like 36 years old and is an actual real fighter, like a real world champion.
Like, I'm pretty sure his last fight, he put someone out.
Oh, dude. Well, he fought Francis Ngannou, who was the UFC heavyweight champion in his prime, and like literally sent him into the multiverse. So it's a nice little weekend. It's a nice little weekend of sports. And then tomorrow we have the 3 games. I think we kick off in the morning. I think Miami, Texas A&M is the early game. And then we get into, what's the second game? Oh, we got Tulane, Ole Miss. And then we finish it up with 4:30. We got Ducks and Dukes. And, of course, that will be right here on the Fan if you're not going down. And, by the way, still plenty of tickets. You can get into that game right now for about, $65 I think we saw on Ticketmaster. So plenty of seats still available. Go down there, fill that place up, make it a great atmosphere. And if you don't, or on your way down, remember, coverage starts here on the Fan at noon, game at 4:30, and then stick around. We'll have the whole game and the post game after that as well. So a full day of Ducks coverage, and we'll be back on Monday to break it all down for you and get you ready for Christmas, because believe it or not, Christmas right around the corner. So for Lowercase, appreciate you filling in and doing some yeoman's work here on a Friday.
Sir.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys on Monday. You've been listening to Primetime on 105.1 The Fan.